But I think I said that yesterday, but I thought yesterday was Thursday, and here we are. It is Thursday. It's the 9 till noon show at 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update and say good morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. An Irish soldier has died and a second has been seriously injured after they came under attack in Lebanon. They were in a group of 8 Defence Forces personnel travelling in a convoy of armoured utility vehicles which came under small arms fire while travelling to Beirut. The incident happened just after 9 o'clock Irish time last night. 2 other Irish soldiers are being treated for minor injuries, while the remaining 4 personnel involved are safe and accounted for. Minister for Defence Simon Coveney says the 2 vehicles involved were separated and one was surrounded by a hostile crowd.
There were 2 armoured vehicles. They were carrying 8 of our people, 4 in each. They were travelling to Beirut, which is a fairly standard administrative run. The vehicles got separated from each other, and one of them was surrounded by a hostile crowd and attacked effectively, and one of our soldiers was shot and killed. It's incredibly sad news for the family involved.
There's some travel disruption in Donegal this morning following overnight snow and icy conditions. Donegal County Council is asking people to avoid the Menaroy Road. Meanwhile, the Loch Salt Road remains closed this morning after a number of vehicles got into difficulty. A status orange ice warning is still in place for much of the country until midday. Meanwhile, a status yellow low temperature and ice warning will also remain in place for the entire country until tomorrow. An Inishowen councillor has hit out at motorists who he says selfishly ignore disabled parking bays in Buncrana. Councillor Jack Murray says there have been a number of occasions when motorists have parked in disabled bays without having a permit to do so. A number of fines have been issued in recent weeks for the offence. Councillor Murray has called on Donegal County Council to put measures in place to ensure those people who need to use the spaces can do so without obstruction.
The disabled parking bays in Buncrana have been brought to my attention that quite regularly people seem to ignore and selfishly park on disabled parking bays that are there for a reason, for people who need to use them. And I asked the council to make them clear, though they should already be, but to make it clear that there is fines that will be issued should you ignore those and should you park on a disabled parking bay when you don't need it.
A motorist has been arrested in Letterkenny on suspicion of drug driving. While out on patrol last night, Gardaí from the Roads Policing Unit in Letterkenny carried out an oral fluid test which detected cannabis in the driver's system. They were subsequently arrested and a blood specimen collected at the Garda station. Gardaí are warning drivers to never get behind the wheel of any vehicle while under the influence of alcohol or drugs and to not make selfish decisions that could cost the lives of others. For weather now, very cold, sunny and mainly dry today with just the chance of a few showers with some turning wintry. Temperatures will remain below freezing in many areas through the morning with afternoon highs of +1 to 4 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Things we don't like to share. Uncomfortable moments under the mistletoe. Oh dear. Things we do like to share. Gifts, especially if they're from Samsung. Because this year, you can claim cash back on selected Samsung products with €220 on a Galaxy Z Flip 4 and €55 on a pair of Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. Merry Christmas to them and to you. Find out more at Samsung.com.
Purchase before the 20th December 22 from a participating retailer. Claim from Samsung within 60 days of purchase. T's and C's apply.
Chanel, Flowerbomb, Lancôme, Giorgio Armani, Paco Rabanne, Hugo Boss. Where else but at McGee's Chemist this Christmas? Sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. It's just turning 5 minutes past 9 on this Thursday, the 15th of December, 2022. It's another bitterly cold one, and of course, those cold temperatures will persist. So if there's any information you need us to get out, we'll continue the service that Lee Gooch was providing throughout the morning. We'll be more than happy, and it's a duty really, to pass on any information information you think other motorists or other road users out there might require. How do you do it? That and anything else you want to talk about to 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text that number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. You can hop onto our social media and watch the show, every day. You can do so by going to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, and also across our Facebook pages. And we also have a Watch Live link on our website. Right, okay, it's Thursday morning. Lots of papers out this morning. Let's start with the Tyrconnell Tribune. As the Micah Action Group responds to last week's comments in the Oireachtas by Senator Niall Blaney, the group has called on him to apologise over what they call his highly offensive remarks about their campaign for redress. Lisa Hone, chair of the Action Group, has written to Senator Blaney stating such comments demonstrate a disconnection and lack of understanding of the level of sheer anguish and frustration borne by the families affected. As a senator, she says, surely it's important you have a good level of insight and empathy into the reality of situations in order to represent your county to the nation with accuracy and integrity. Homeowners said they could only view Blaney's call for a bit of law and order in Donegal and remarks about calling in the dog as being aimed at their group, and it was really a cheap shot, they say, at a hard-working committee that represented everyone equally in County Donegal. The Donegal Democrat covers, as do all the papers, the news that Brian McFadden and Keith Duffy are among a host of SARs set to perform at a concert in Letterkenny next month in support of Creasla. The Boys' Own duo will take centre stage at the Aura Leisure Centre on January 30th, along with Brian Kennedy, Lisa McHugh, Moya Brennan, Raidney Mooney and Mickey Joe Hart, and the Whistling Donkeys, speaking at the launch of the Together for Creasla yesterday. Ex-Westlife member McFadden said that as his father's birthplace, the town was very close to his heart. We'll be speaking to Father John Joe on that issue a little later on in the programme. They have the same story in the front of the Democrats, so we'll go inside to read that farmers in Donegal will be hoping current Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Donegal TD Charlie McConnell, retains in position following Saturday's cabinet reshuffle. Chair of the Donegal Executive of the Irish Farmers Association, Brendan McLaughlin, said as far as he knew, most farmers in the county would rather Minister McConnell be in charge. He has been very good to Donegal farmers and is capable of understanding what is a massive portfolio. This job is something of a poison chalice, and I'm not sure if many will be looking for it, but I'd rather a Donegal man in charge than anyone else, he said. So that's quite a nice endorsement for Minister Conalogue there. Let's go on to the Nationals now. And the Irish Independent, 1 in 5 cancer patients is not attending their GP or hospital because appointments add to mounting financial worries due to the cost of living crisis, a report reveals today. The report from the Irish Cancer Society shows the silent struggle of many patients with the disease who are having to cut back because of financial strain. As temperatures plummet below freezing, the survey carried out last month found many patients are rationing their heating as Christmas approaches. The poll of cancer patients, carers and members of the public shows that more than half of patients are worried about keeping up with paying bills amid rising expenses and at a time when patients' income can take a huge hit. On average, cancer patients are more worried about the cost of heating their homes compared to others, with 3 in 4 saying they have reduced their spending on heating compared to 60% among the general public. And that just should not be the case, should it not? It really shouldn't. There is a fund there, and you would hope that anyone who feels they have to make a choice between appointments and heating, that fund is there to support them. That's what you would hope, isn't it? I think you can contact the social welfare and speak to a community welfare officer in your area if you're affected by that. We're being told that no one should be in the cold this winter. The Irish Times economic reports predict sharp slowdown. The Irish economy will experience a sharp slowdown in growth next year as high inflation erodes the value of earnings and recessions in other countries dampen the state's export trade. This is according to 2 high-profile reports. Despite the headwind, and I hate that phrase, the headwinds. Despite the headwinds, the economy is expected to avoid an outright recession, defined on back-to-back quarters of negative growth, with multinational exports and consumer spending continuing to fuel a modest expansion in activity. But as we've been saying on this show for a long time, whilst on paper we may not be in recession, I think a lot of us are already feeling in recession. But maybe that's not the important metric. maybe it is the numbers. In the latest quarterly bulletin on the Economic and Social Research Institute, they said an international recession coupled with persistent cost of living pressures meant that the Irish economy would grow at a significantly reduced pace. Now, let's get on to the Irish Daily Mail now. And Minister for Housing, Darragh O'Brien, has insisted he's not engaged in a power grab as he rushed through controversial planning legislation in the Dáil last night. The Dáil gave a special dispensation to pass the legislation through all stages at the request of Mr O'Brien. But why? Why so pressing? Well, this was it was given that special dispensation after it was pushed through the Seanad in 2 sittings. He seems to be very good at getting stuff pushed through, doesn't he? Particularly Mr O'Brien, compared to other ministers. The legislation gives him the ability to appoint existing and former public and civil servants on a temporary basis to the Board of Ombó Pleanála. Mr O'Brien said it was necessary to introduce the legislation hastily to rebuild and restore public trust in ABP after a turbulent period and to ensure it can play an effective and efficient role at the apex of our planning system. As I said on the show yesterday, why waste a good crisis? If you want to make big changes to planning, well, just say that you're tidying up ABP. By the way, I meant to mention yesterday, of course, there was a vote of, was it confidence in the end? I think it was a counter motion of confidence. And it was voted, confidence was voted in him by Deputy Joe McHugh, of course, and Minister Charlie McConalogue, with the 3 others voting against there. By the way, I just wanted to update you on that. But there's no surprise there, really, is there? Voting along party loyalties and lines. The Irish Daily Star, a minister has admitted that emergency departments which are under unprecedented strain is not acceptable to the government or the HSE, and said they need to do better. What a relief. He's admitted it. Minister for, and I'm being completely sarcastic there, Minister for Public Expenditure Michael McGrath was reacting to a new report from the Health Information and Quality Authority which revealed that patients in EDs have been forced to wait 80 to 90 hours to get to bed. The health watchdog warned that overcrowding continues to pose a risk to the health and safety of patients. It also said the patient's dignity, privacy and right to confidentiality was being compromised. And it never accounts for those who, and you really shouldn't, who avoid the ED because of all the bad press and may deteriorate quicker at home. No one's ever recommended to do that. The worst cases are prioritised and seen first in that environment, we are told. But look, none of that is news to us because we're covering it extensively on this show, and we heard from wasn't it Tanya earlier in the week, and her experience with her son, Oisín, I believe. The Irish Farmers Journal, some 16,000 applicants to acres have been left in limbo as Minister for Agriculture Charlie McConalogue grapples with the massive oversubscription in the agri-environmental scheme. A total of 46,000 farmers applied for the scheme before last week's deadline, 53% more than the 30,000 that was budgeted for in 2023. Let's get on to the Sun. Earlier in the week, we were talking about how RTE splashed out €80,000, the equivalent of 500 homes in Donegal, paying their licence fee to launch their winter schedule. I thought they were under pressure financially, but apparently not, because the same organisation is now planning to spend €1.5 million on gift vouchers for its staff over the next 2 years. The national broadcaster is currently engaged in a 3-year €60 million cost-cutting plan due to concerns about its financial position. However, it'll still find money to treat staff to vouchers and gift cards to the value of around $1.5 million, including VAT in 2023 and 2024, under documents revealed. RTE expects to award a contract for the supply of vouchers at the end of next month following a competitive tendering process. So €1.5 million of your money over the next 10 years is being spent on gift vouchers for staff. So don't tell me they're short on cash. I would never begrudge a worker getting something, though, either. The Irish Daily Mirror, are many of you following the Jerry the Monk Hutch trial? It really is quite fascinating stuff. Obviously, we can't watch it because you can't do that in this country or hear it, but we are seeing the reports and live tweets and however you might be following it. Some really interesting exchanges yesterday. State witness Jonathan Dowdall claimed that Jerry the Monk Hutch was willing to throw his own brother under the bus. Mr. Dowdall, 44, made the shocking claim towards the end of being cross-examined by Brendan Grehan, defending for Hutch yesterday evening. Dowdall also told the courtroom, "I don't care if I'm killed, nobody will touch my children." The former councillor was giving evidence on what is the second day of him being cross-examined by Hutch's legal counsel and the 32nd day of the special criminal court trial of Jerry Hutch for the murder of David Byrne in Dublin's Regency Hotel in February 5th, 2016. And there's a bit of a local interest in some of the evidence he gave at that trial yesterday. All right, that's a run through of what's making the front pages of the papers today. We're heading into Christmas, so we're all about the big giveaways, aren't we? So before I take a break and before we get our first guest on, I want to give you an opportunity to enter our brilliant competition in association with our friends at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. They are sponsoring the show this week. Each day we are giving away a prize, and then each of those daily prize winners goes into a draw on Friday to win a hamper worth over €500, courtesy of McGee's. In that overall prize, there's a Lancome Christmas hamper, so a hamper within a hamper, a blank canvas tools to match your talent 20-piece brush set, a Be Perfect Iconic Essentials set, a bottle of Chanel Bleu de Chanel for men, a bottle of Victor and Rolf Flower Bomb EDP spray, and a 20 by 16 inch gallery wrapped canvas from McGee's, so you can have your favourite photo wrapped in canvas ready to hang. And don't forget, McGee's have all the top names in ladies and men's fragrances. Here's the question for you today. Might require a Google, I'm not going to lie. I don't write them. I write the good ones, but I don't claim the bad ones. Which country is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition? Are we going to have a row? Which country is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition? Send your answer, your name and address to 086 60 25,000 by SMS or WhatsApp. And you know what? We'll do the Say What quiz at the same time. And what you can do, right? You can enter both competitions. Try and do it in separate texts so it's easier for our draws. But let's do that. So that's that. Thank you. Over €500 to be won there in terms of value of a hamper from McGee's Chemist. But also we have a €100 voucher for the Inishowen Gateway Hotel in a second competition, which we'll announce the winner of tomorrow. And just to remind you that the Inishowen Gateway Hotel have gift vouchers for Seagrass Wellbeing Centre. So you can go in there and pick one of those up. Say what? What word is missing here? This is from Rory and his Saturday Rewind show.
So, Max, whatever you're doing for your birthday, enjoy it. Hope you get loads of cards, loads of presents, loads of...
We had Cake's guest yesterday. We had Kiss's guest yesterday. What is the missing word there? 086 60 25,000. I mentioned the two at the same time, so you can enter both while you've got your phone out. Right, okay. Let us take a break and we will line up our first guest for you. That's all coming up after these messages.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Looking to gift the perfect trainers for Christmas? Check out our new arrivals, winterized trainers with a waterproof upper from all your favourite brands. Hoka, Asics, Brooks, and a new favourite, On Running, gives you a unique comfort sensation. Give the gift of sport this Christmas, in-store and online at bmcsports.ie.
It's time for the ultimate New Year's celebrations. It's time to count down to New Year's Festival Dublin. Get ready for a brand new festival village, street entertainers and an electrifying performance from Westlife. With special guests Gavin, James and Lyra. Experience a midnight moment like nothing you've ever seen at our family matinee or the Countdown concert. Plus fun for all on New Year's Day. New Year's Festival Dublin, the only place to be. Book your tickets now at nyfdublin.com. Brought to you by Falcha Ireland.
What's the best Christmas present you could get? A new car to you, from you. At iMotors, we have new Kias ready and waiting for their new home in January. With an award-winning range and engine choice to suit everyone, there's diesel, hybrid and electric. We have a car to suit everyone, with finance rates as low as 2.9% available and a €500 super value voucher if ordered before December 23rd. Call in or visit imotors.ie.
Ireland's biggest ever tribute weekend is coming back to Donegal. Trib Bash 2023 is taking place at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny on the 10th and 11th of February. The nation's very best tribute acts take to the stage with the fantastic award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show Cash Returns, the sellout show Mac Fleetwood as Fleetwood Mac, the smash hit ABBA tribute with Bjorn Identity, and the show-stopping Queen tribute. Limited tickets available now at the hotel reception and online at eventbrite.ie. Trib Bash 2023 at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. Your ideal Christmas present.
For all your home heating needs, oil, gas and solid fuels. National Fuels, Pierce Road, Letterkenny. 9137 400. National Fuels, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time's...
The 9 till noon show, sponsored by McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, with a great range of digital cameras, camcorders and binoculars for Christmas. McGee's, the photographic experts, where the best costs less.
Okay, my bad. It's 21 minutes past 9. We're joined in studio now by two guests. They are... Anna Harkin and Ellen Griffin. Both of you, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
How are you keeping?
Really good. How are you?
Good. Same, thank you. Right, now you are both students from Loretto Secondary School, isn't that correct?
Yeah.
In transition year?
Yeah.
Okay, how's that going for you so far?
That's really good. It's really, really great. There's a lot of opportunities and everything.
Okay.
So.
Right, now, yous are involved in Young Social Innovators, isn't that correct?
Yeah.
Is this part of a project within the school, or is it entering into something greater, or what is this hope for Young Social Innovators?
So Young Social Innovators, basically, it's an all-Ireland kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big competition throughout the year, and what it means, basically, is that transition year students from all across the country, they come up with their own project ideas, and ours is Hope for Homes, and we just become basically sort of young activists throughout the year, and we want to make a change. And at the end of the year, there's a winner and there's finals and everything. So
brilliant. So, Anna, recently you have conducted two surveys, one on the defective concrete, known publicly as Micah, just for simplicity, and one, yours, I believe, Ellen, on the student accommodation crisis. So we'll start with Micah, Anna. So who did you survey?
We surveyed staff and students within our school building, and from the results, 21.4% of staff and students were affected by mica, and then 95.2% know of someone or people affected by mica as well.
Yeah, so it impacts everyone effectively in the school,
Everyone.
either directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
Right, okay. And what are you going to do with that information now?
We have sent it out to many different newspapers and that, trying to get it recognised, to try to get something to change.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a burden on everyone, isn't it? Because, you know, and it's on students, because often, you know, maybe people have to, you know, do their homework or whatever in unsafe homes, but there's also the pressure it is on mums and dads and all that kind of stuff, but the students themselves, and then teachers as well. They have a really tough job, and they have to deal with all of this as well. So it's just getting the message out there, really, that this is... I mean, I don't think the message is lost, but the human impact of this, 95.9%, as 95.2% know someone who or they themselves are affected by this crisis. So is it part then of your Hope for Homes? Is it to sort of get that awareness out? Is there anything else that you want to achieve or part of this project for you, Anna?
Well, we're trying to just get the message out that so many people are affected, and we're also trying to get the 100% redress as well as everyone else in Donegal.
I think also something else that we're doing is we're kind of
I
putting
like this, Ellen, by the way, just jumping in.
Yeah, we're putting
well
in
done.
the personal aspect of being affected by mica as well, because both of us are affected by mica, and we both did our junior cert exams last June, and we're trying to show people that it's not just adults.
Yeah,
you know how it affects young people as well, and how we ourselves had to go under such stressful circumstances, doing exams, state exams, and having to go through that while our homes were crumbling, basically.
Yeah, and if people were doing, and we're speaking to teachers and principals, if students were doing projects or whatever, had to write something, often it would be about mica, because that's the thing that's so ever present in their lives. And it's also really good, Ellen, I think you made a very good point there. And I know young people did travel down to the Dáil and have had a voice, but I think it's great that you are also, you know, advocating for the young people and how it's, because I think not by the campaigners, but I think by the powers that be, it's forgotten. that these are just houses. You know,
Yeah.
they forget there's people within them, and many of them are young people like yourselves, and the impact it can have. Also, a survey on the student accommodation crisis. Ellen, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so we decided to work on the student accommodation crisis along with Micah as the Young Social Innovators group in our school last year. They were the Gold All-Ireland winners and they focused a lot on Micah. We wanted to continue on some of their work but also have our own aspect to it, and we chose the student accommodation crisis because we can relate to these students. It's very topical at the minute and it's an absolutely unacceptable circumstance for people to be in. So we don't want that to be us, and we don't want it to be next year's group of people, but unfortunately it is happening and we want to make a difference. And during our survey we found out that 57.4% of students and staff in our school know someone affected by the student accommodation crisis, which was a far bigger statistic than we ever expected. So it's just something that we want to continue working on.
Is it something that's in your minds already in transition years? So you've got this year, 5th and 6th, right? And then you might be thinking, well, what do I want to study? Where might I study? Do you find that as a young person, as mature as you are, that this is already starting to bother you? That you're starting to wonder, what are the consequences? What might the pressure be on the family? Where are my options? How will, you know what I mean? Is it already something that would be worrying you?
100%, definitely. I know a lot of people in their first year in college and university, and it was really hard for them to find accommodation, and it's something that I or Anna, we don't want to experience ourselves. So it's definitely something that's playing on our minds, especially now in transition year, because this is the year where you kind of discover what you want to do, especially through work experience and just getting out there. So it's really playing on our minds more now than it ever had before, because we're getting this experience of like the real world and what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, and you could echo that, Anna, could you? Yeah. About the worries about, you know, even now when you're supposed to be chilling in. I mean, I know you work hard in transition, you don't get me wrong, but I think there's a sort of a finding yourself period there too, isn't it, where you get a bit of space from the studying and maybe the odd trip here or there. Right, so what happens next? We've talked about how, you know, this information, it's good to get it out there. It's an opportunity then for you to have a platform to get the message out there. Is this submitted then as part of a competition or a national assessment, or what happens next, if anything?
It overall is a competition, but at the same time, we're not doing this because it's a competition
really important,
or because we want to win.
100%, I get
It's
that.
because we're very passionate about this and we want to make a change and we want to do something to make a difference. And overall, it is a competition, and if we won, it would be great, but it's not our main aim for the year.
Of course not, I get that. Listen, I don't want to misrepresent the survey findings, Anna, because I think my details I have in front of me, that's in black and white. So some of the questions were, of all the students in the college, are you affected by Micah? And what was the percentage? Can you make that out? What percentage said yes? Right, I've put you under pressure. Sorry, I thought you might.
Is it 21.4%?
Yeah, okay.
Affected by
We're
Micah.
directly affected by it. Okay, yeah, that's exactly the figure you gave. I just wanted to make sure. But the headline figure as well is the 95.9% know what Micah is.
Yeah.
And same with the student accommodation crisis, 89.5% believe student accommodation crisis is a big problem in Ireland. And also, too, you're talking about the young voices being heard, Ellen. You know, we hear from people that, you know, build houses and government ministers and all that type of stuff, but maybe we aren't hearing enough from students about how this crisis is affecting them or how it might affect them.
I really don't think we are, and that's basically why we wanted to do it. Even though we're not at that stage of our lives yet, it is coming up sooner than we would think, and we want to be the voice of those people, and we want those people to be able to trust us and to be able to really understand where we're coming from, and so that we can help them as much as they can help us in the future as well.
Yeah, okay. Listen, well, fair play to the two of you. Is there anything else you want to add?
If you want to follow our social media pages, we have Instagram, TikTok and Facebook. Instagram is YSI Hope for Homes. TikTok is the same, YSI Hope for Homes, and Facebook is Hope for Homes YSI.
And you know, there's something actually really quite meaningful in the name Hope for Homes. The fact that people have to, you know, do this type of work with a simple message of hope for a home. You know, which I think is really, you know, it's simple, but it really tells the whole story, doesn't it?
Thank you.
And it's the same with the student accommodation crisis. You're home away from home, not having that worry. And we know there's people having to sleep in cars, commute for 4 or 5 hours. You know, the problems are real. Well, listen, fair play to you again. I'm sure everyone around you are very proud of how you have what you've done so far and how you've performed today. And the Loreto Secondary School just continues to pump out impressive students. Well done.
Thank you
all
very
involved.
much.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Just remind us once again of the social media, Ellen. I think you...
Instagram is YSI Hope for Homes. TikTok is the same YSI Hope for Homes. And Facebook is Hope for Homes.
Where are you
YSI.
getting most traction out of interest?
Instagram, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, thanks both of you.
Thank you very much.
Anna Harkin, Ellen Griffin, Young Social Innovators. Their campaign is Hope for Home. They are in the Loreto Secondary School transition year class. Thank you very much indeed.
Customise your Christmas cards or create a photo book using photos from your smartphone or Facebook at mcgees.ie or in store on Main Street, Letterkenny. Sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
Show your appreciation for Donegal business this Christmas with Buy Donegal. Visit buydonegal.com to see a host of participating businesses to start your shopping list. With a range of special offers and prize giveaways throughout, Buy Donegal has something for everyone. Buy Donegal takes place from November 11th to December 24th. For more, visit buydonegal.com.
Free 2023 glossy farming calendar. It's one of the farming favourites of the year. Don't miss your free IFA calendar inside today's Irish Farmers Journal.
16,000 farmers could be locked out of acres. Find out what your chances are of getting in. Nitrates rules to force farmers to hunt for 70,000 acres of extra land. Plus, all you need to know on grant aid for farm solar panels.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal with your free IFA calendar. You cannot afford to miss it.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Brendan Shine and Philomena Begley at the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny on January 6th and Millennium Forum Derry on March 18th. Tickets now on sale at both venues and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with Philomena Begley and Brendan Shine in Letterkenny and Derry. The perfect Christmas gift.
The choices we make determine where we're going. Where will your choices take you? Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles and join the thousands of Irish drivers who swap diesel for Toyota hybrid electric, lowering their emissions and fuel costs. We've Ireland's widest hybrid electric range, including the Toyota CHR and Yaris Cross. Don't miss out. Order today at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
The Christmas Crinners Baby It's Cold Outside, featuring David Nopoves as Sinatra and a fantastic cast of West End singers performing classic Christmas hits. The Alley Theatre on Friday 16th of December. A romantic show full of festive cheer. Tickets £20. Book now at alley-theatre.com.
Hello, Hill 16 Insurance. How can I help you? Up the dubs.
Hi. I am looking for a home insurance quote.
Righto, and what part of Dublin do you live in?
I don't actually live in Dublin.
Right. Do you lease support the dubs?
What? I'm just looking for home insurance.
Well, you're going to have to keep looking, pal, because Hill 16 is Dublin only.
Get the feeling that your insurer doesn't want you? At Local Insurance, we understand your needs. Call today for a bespoke quote or find us online at localinsurance.ie. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, Brian Cannon is Director of Roads and Transportation at Donegal County Council. He joins us on the programme now. Brian, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
We'll have a general chat, but I suppose first off, starting with, actually, we might go with Mina Roy. What is the situation at Mina Roy this morning? Because there's a lot of traffic on that road, and the conditions weren't fantastic today, to say the least.
Yeah, Mina Roy is a link from the west of the county, Glenties, Ardra, Dunlow across into Letterkenny. It goes over an area of quite high elevation. Travelling conditions on Mina Roy weren't great this morning, as you said. It's getting additional attention, extra run of the Gritter. The Gritter's staying on that route to improve the conditions on that route. So look, we're aware of it, and we've teams out addressing that at the minute. It was gritted, as all routes were gritted from 6 a.m. this morning. Also gritted yesterday evening, with some routes receiving 2 treatments yesterday evening. We have a lorry just on rotation on that route at the minute.
And just to understand a wee bit of, well, I don't know if you could call it science, but salt works once in the past, doesn't it? Presumably the grit is in there to give it a little bit of longevity, but it's not something that has a prolonged impact over the course of a long period of time. Do we know, in extreme weather conditions, when road temperatures are particularly low, sub-zero, how long might a treatment last before the roads start? And we can never presume a road's ice-free, of course, but before we start seeing, ice and slipping conditions forming again?
Well, at present the road surface temperatures are quite a bit lower actually than even the air temperatures. If we go around the county, we're down as low as minus 4.5. Road temperature in Killygordon, minus 3.3 up at Lochmorn, the road that you would probably pass, Greg, the N15 past Lochmorn there. And nowhere in the county have we got a road surface temperature above freezing. So if you allay that to some precipitation and snow that fell last night, it doesn't actually take that long for it to sit on a surface, even if the surface has been treated, for it to try to start to freeze. Depending then on the volume of grit and the volume of salt that's been applied, you get a longer impact. And then if there is rain where perhaps maybe, or running water where it may have washed the surface and wash the salt away from the surface, that's where you can get problems. We would advise all motorists, you have to drive to the conditions, irrespective of it being a gritted route or not. You have to assume that no route is ice-free. And it's been quite an intense period. As you know, this is... since the 3rd of December, our gritters have gritted the route 36 times. When you consider it's now the 15th, so that's 12 days, 36 different separate gritting runs of our 21 lorries across the county. There will be mornings like this where people have to take just that extra bit of additional care. Talking to colleagues from around the county, the back of Errigal Road was relatively difficult this morning. People that have come in from Inishowen, it's been relatively difficult at times in places, but again, it's with due care and attention. The roads are passable, but once again, you just can't assume that any road is ice-free.
Yeah, and credit to your drivers too, because they're often the first across the most dangerous of roads as well, which is a challenge in and of itself, of course.
Absolutely, Greg. Definitely, and I'd like to take the opportunity just to thank our teams that have been working so intensely since the 3rd of December in particular. Now, we did have runs before that, but since the 3rd of December, it's been quite an intense period, and that's our 21 teams, because with up to 3 runs a day, there's swap overs between people who are doing actually the gritting runs, and then you've got the support staff, the winter service maintenance engineers that make the call as to when the roads have to be gritted, at what volume of salt is to be applied. We've got the support staff that get the messages out to all of the drivers. We've got our crews on the ground, our overseers, our road service supervisors, and our teams that support the gritting crews, and then also that treat areas and supply the grit to the areas that are off the gritting routes. And then we've got our machinery yard that makes sure we keep our equipment going and our plant going, and then our delivery drivers that are busy bringing deliveries of salt around to our different barns around the county. So it's a big operation, Greg, but look, we realise the importance of the gritting programme to the people in the county to keep people moving. And look, there will always be areas that don't get treated. We've had quite a few calls, and I suppose this type of weather brings it to the front of people's minds. Schools that have had to close for days this week because the locally the management of those schools felt it wasn't appropriate to be able to either bring buses or parents to those schools, and it always just brings it into focus, Greg. But look, we try and deliver as broad a service as we can, and we've had quite a lot of work this week delivering salt and doing gritting in areas off the gritting route as well, just to try and keep things moving.
Right, okay. And as you say, there's always going to be pockets where people would not have seen hide and hair of either a gritter or some of this salt or grit being dropped off. One area, the Galdona Road, a caller says there are a number of older people up there who need to collect their pension money for Christmas. But I would say that story is replicated many places. There's places in sort of low-lying estates, for example, that people can't get out of. I mean, can the council respond to sort of calls like that?
Well, locally our teams are aware of those areas. The Galdon Road absolutely is. It's the people that live on those roads. There are, for through traffic, there are gritted alternatives that you can avoid. It is the people on those roads. Now, again, there are areas where grit is available, and we would ask local communities as well to row in behind their neighbours, and maybe some of these areas can be, agriculture based, and a link box load of grit with a couple of local farmers getting together can always help address these issues, and in areas that our staff aren't able to address. So look, it's a if you want to say, pull on the county jersey, and just if there are local issues that we're not able to get to, hopefully the communities will be able to sort of row in there behind and get that grit that is there and that is available distributed.
Yeah, Loch Salt, problematic road. Like, I mean, it's not a road I would go near if it's anything under 5, to be honest with you. But still, people are using that route. You climb a very high mountain and you've got a steep descent on either side, and with the lake and everything else there, it is just a recipe for disaster. Cars stuck up there. I just wonder if Google Maps is sending people up there or not, because I don't think anyone local would chance it personally, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. It's, as you say, a fantastic road, very scenic, but in these types of weather conditions, there are people that live, in particular, on the Kilmacrennan and the Termon end of the road, and then also on the Glen Carrygard end. But in the middle, it's relatively uninhabited. And with good alternative routes, the road is gritted from Termon right through to Creeshla and then into Carrygard, and then also from Kilmacrennan through to Milford, and then Milford onto Carrygard. So there are gritted alternatives for through traffic. And you're right. Google Maps, depending on your settings, will take you either the shortest route distance-wise or shortest route time-wise. So at this time of year, I would advise people not to be relying on Google Maps.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty intuitive, but it can't factor in the weather. Do you know what I mean? Like, it won't. It's not anymore. I'm a fan of it. It won't send you up a road nowadays with grass up the middle of it. It generally goes. It follows the patterns of traffic, but it can't factor in the top of Loch Salt being frozen.
That's
so
right.
You have to, and that applies for all different areas. I think particularly built-in sat navs are particularly useless, I've found. Right, so. Caller says, why was the gritter not out last night and only yesterday evening? Now, I don't know if was across the county or on particular route, or if it's even true, Brian. Maybe they didn't see it, but does that make any sense to you, that comment?
There was a gritting call yesterday afternoon for all of the routes, and then certain other routes there was a second call then again later last night. So some routes received one treatment last night, some routes received 2 treatments last night.
Right.
And that's really a call of the duty engineer based on the weather forecast of what's coming in, when the weather's going to pass, at what temperatures it comes to. So there was one call on all of the routes last night, and then 2 calls on some of the routes that were maybe a bit more problematic. But even with that, we're seeing some of those routes are still difficult this morning. It's just a factor of the temperatures, sustained low temperatures. As I say, the road temperatures in particular aren't recovering at all. And even when people start seeing a bit of a frost or a bit of a thaw, in particular coming into the weekend, people just need to be very careful, because the thaw will generate running water. And then when the temperatures go back down at night, and in particular the road temperatures will take longer to recover, there is more of a chance nearly of icy conditions. So just to be extremely prudent, even if you see the bit of frost thawing from around your house, just be very, very careful out on the road.
Yeah, and it's so cold. I mean, even I call them squirters. What are they? Window wash. Instantly freezing as soon as it hits the windscreen, even with the, after the car's been running for quite some time. Obviously, as you mentioned, I'd say it's probably not far off, 40,000 kilometres of roads in Donegal have been gritted since the 3rd of December. Temperatures might lift on Sunday, we're being told, but there is some indications that we could be facing into another cold spell thereafter. That's just some indications. I don't want anyone to think I'm trying to worry anyone or whatever, but my question is we've had issues in the past with stocks of salt or grit. How are stock levels at the moment? How's supply chains in that regard going? Have you any concerns if we sort of head into another cold spell after a brief respite?
No particular concerns, Greg. The TIA, Transport Infrastructure Ireland, coordinate salt quantities on a national basis, and there is a reserve nationally, and we have to make a return every Monday on the volume of salt used in the previous week, so that we get our stocks replenished. We do have a number of weeks of stock available at any one time, so we're not particularly concerned, Greg. And our winter maintenance programme is demand led. If we have to treat, we treat. It's not a budgetary decision, it's really about trying to make sure that the programme is delivered for the benefit of the people, whether it's our own citizens or visitors in particular that will be coming home for Christmas and visiting our county, and so now we'll be salting as and when the need is there.
A few people calling in saying we need the council out helping to spread this grit, the piles of it and what have you. We need more manual labour from the council, others are saying. But at the same time, lots of praise as well, by the way, Brian. That's not realistic. I think you've already have you made almost a direct appeal to people with farming machinery that maybe they're going to have to, if they're not already, do what they can to help this situation. The council don't have the resources, presumably, to send teams out outside of the gritting routes to spread grit and salt routinely.
That's correct, Greg. Essentially, the vast majority of our road services staff are on winter maintenance duty for the last week in particular, whether it's through the distributing route, whether it's tackling specific areas, certain areas around different towns and footpaths were gritted this week as a reaction to the prolonged nature of the freezing conditions. But yeah, we can't get everywhere. After I was on Monday, you shared links to the various different gritting maps, etc., that on Highland Radio, and those maps also contain a layer showing where there are grit piles. Now the showing where grit piles are around the county, so there's a layer people can turn on there and they can see them. So they locally will know where the grit piles are, as well as them being shown up on the map. But yeah, we require local communities to, in particular in the more rural areas, to sort of come together and address those localised needs, because we can't be everywhere.
Right, okay. And I think it's going to be particularly cold tonight, and that's why I wanted to tease out with you, Brian, how the gritting interacts with the road, and then very quickly in certain cases and scenarios, it can cause water which can freeze elsewhere, or in fact you could have a road icing over really quite quickly. So again, not to startle people, but to alert them that just because the road has been passed through by the gritter, we can't presume that it's going to be infinitely, safe infinitely for the rest of the night, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. And we all know weather conditions can change, and that can influence the effectiveness of the grit. So assume no road is ice-free, Greg. Slow down, plan your journey ahead, etc., and, just be careful out there. All
right, Brian, thanks for that. Best wishes to all your teams again. Brian Cannon, Director of Roads and Transportation with Donegal County Council.
The 9 till noon show with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, and online at mcgees.ie. Order your prints, poster or canvas online and have them delivered direct to your door or collect in store.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
With the ongoing war in Ukraine affecting the cost of energy, many of us are facing a challenging winter. Through Budget 23, government is introducing a range of supports to lessen the financial impact on families, households and businesses, and will continue to monitor the situation in the coming months to protect those in difficulty. It's important that everyone stays warm and well, but where safe and possible to do so, reducing energy use can also reduce bills. Changes like turning your thermostat down by 1 degree and considering how often you use energy-intensive appliances like tumble dryers can make a big difference. For information on available supports and energy-saving advice, visit gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossum College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
At Tesco, we're standing up for joy this Christmas. And a Christmas without turkey is like Santa without his elves. So you'll be happy to hear that Tesco finest free-range bronze turkeys are back on the shelves from December the 19th. Well, the fridges really. Or choose from a range of finest party food like Thai-style prawn toast, bubble tempura prawns, katsu curry spring rolls and more. Any two for €8 with your Tesco Club card. We're standing up for joy this Christmas. Tesco. Every little helps. Products subject to availability. Excludes express stores.
Great news! Show Tours have released a limited number of tickets priced at €30 for the Joe Dolan Remembering Joe Cabaret Show at the Allingham Arms Hotel Bundoran this Friday night. The hotel is offering special accommodation rates to help take away those travel worries. Call the Allingham Arms on 071 98411075 or book online at showtours.ie.
Treat your pets this Christmas at Gary's Pet World, Letterkenny. You will find a large selection of gifts, toys and Christmas selection boxes together with delicious after-dinner treats for all your cats and dogs. With great value on pet food and accessories, a trip to Gary's Pet World is a must this Christmas. Call in and see for yourself or log on to petworld.ie.
Whatever the weather, Christmas shopping in Letterkenny will brighten your December. The Highland Weather Forecast, brought to you by Shop LK. See shoplk.ie or like us on Facebook.
08660 25,000, that is the WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Right, let's take a look at that weather forecast. I should have it open in front of me all the time, but I don't. But I have it for you now. Today, very cold, sunny and mainly dry with just the chance of a few showers with some turning wintry as they come inland. Temperatures will remain below freezing in many areas through the morning with afternoon highs at best +1 to +4 degrees generally in light northwesterly winds. Now that just means that one particular area, like yesterday, Mallinhead, for example, was +4. But I would say the majority of the rest of the county much lower than that, so take care. I'm ringing in support of Brian. You do a great job, and I think there is a degree of personal responsibility on the general population to be prepared coming into this winter. There is always, whatever we do, isn't there, a element of responsibility individually. But that being said, you see, a lot of there's not people going, I want to get to the airport to go to the Bahamas, grip my road, please. Some of the people, any of the concerns we have, it's often carers can't get up to see someone. Yesterday, we heard of a 92-year-old gentleman whose carers can't get up the road to see him. That is a big problem. Another area there where older people are on a stretch of road, they can't get out, people can't get into them. So it's really genuine concerns that people are expressing. Why was the Gritters not out last night? Only out at 3 p.m. yesterday and 6 a.m. today. Absolutely ridiculous when the worst weather was forecast last night. That wasn't right across the board, by the way, but that was on some routes, of course. Right. We learned this morning of the sad news of an Irish soldier who has been killed and a second seriously injured in a serious incident in Lebanon. They were among 8 Irish personnel travelling in a convoy of armoured vehicles which came under attack. Michael Walker is formerly of the Defence Forces and has served in Lebanon 5 times and joins us now. Very sad news, Michael, and news we haven't heard for a while because it seemed the situation in Lebanon had settled somewhat, but this is the worst news for some families to be waking up to this morning.
Very sad, Greg, because there's no good time of year but coming up to the Christmases. It makes it even more heartbreaking to hear news like that.
Yeah, and of course the family and friends of these people, but also the Defence Forces generally, and particularly those serving in Lebanon. There's obviously a kinship there. This will be felt very personally, of course, Michael.
Oh, indeed. I feel it too for the fellows, the colleagues that are going to be affected by this too, being so far from home and that, and I hope they get all the help, the assistance required for them to cope with it.
You did 5 tours of Lebanon, didn't you? What's it like over there? And well, I suppose maybe it's different from when you were there to now, but can you give us an insight, Michael?
Well, my first trip was in 1981 and my last one was in 1992, and I haven't been out since, but thank God it's over 2 decades since there was a fatality, and there should never be a fatality, but in my trips I've lost a few colleagues too. It's the dangers of the job that goes with the job.
And what is the role of the Irish Defence Forces over there? Of course, it's peacekeeping, it's with the UN, but what kind of day-to-day activity would our Defence Forces be involved in over there, Michael?
Patrolling and humanitarian aid for the local population who go through a rough time themselves because of the what goes on in their country. And all you try to do is make life as peaceful for them and safety for yourselves and your colleagues.
Yeah, and do you think, the investigation's going to be important here? This was an ambush. Is this we'll need to understand what this means in future, don't we? Was this a isolated instance? Did they not realise who they were? Or is this part of something that we might see more of into the future? There are going to be very important questions to get answers to, Michael, unless we already have an insight.
Well, in June, there was a same kind of incident happened, and the weapons and stuff were taken off the UN peacekeepers, but thank God there were no fatalities. It seems to be an ongoing thing in the last year or two because maybe the instability of Lebanon with the economics and whatnot, but there might need to be more security arrangements now in place for convoys and that.
Okay. Well, listen, Michael, thank you for your insight. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. That's Michael Walker, former Defence Forces. And in a statement this morning, President Michael D. Higgins said, "It's with the deepest sorrow that I was this morning informed of the news of the death of a member of the Defence Forces serving on the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Lebanon. May I also wish a speedy recovery to those other members of the Defence Forces injured in the instance. Our thoughts are with them at this time." That's not it in its entirety. I've just read 2 paragraphs from it there. The names of those involved aren't being released by the Defence Forces right now, but their families have been informed. You are tuned to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We'll be back with more on the programme after we take a break for the news and obituary notices.
Have a photo book printed for Christmas using your own selected images, titles and text at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Proud sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
Highland Radio is seeking applications for a presenter-producer to join our busy sports team. The ideal candidate must have an interest in sport across the Northwest, and a strong knowledge of multimedia platforms is essential. The chosen applicant will be trained to present our main sports programmes and bulletins, plus produce both on-air and online content. For more details, see the job section on our website highlandradio.com.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments presents the world's greatest ABBA show. Direct from Sweden, Arrival, featuring original ABBA musician. Sunday the 8th of January, Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets on sale from hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. Follow us on Facebook, Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
If you're tired and struggling to put a spring in your step, discover the power of Revive Active at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. Revive Active is an award-winning super supplement containing 26 active ingredients, including vitamin C, D and zinc, which support your immune system, all in one handy daily sachet. Made for busy, stressful lives, it's the convenient way to put back what life takes out. Enrich your life with Revive Active. In-store or online, click and collect from brennanspharmacy.com. We're here for you.
Attention all staff. Clean up on aisle 4, please. That's a clean up on aisle 4. And Jacob, who's popped in for a pint of milk, has diabetes.
We don't always know who's at risk from COVID-19 and other viruses, but we do know how to protect them. Keep hands clean and wear a mask. Let fresh air in. Get vaccinated and stay at home if you are unwell. From the HSE, for us all.
Free 2023 glossy farming calendar. It's one of the farming favourites of the year. Don't miss your free IFA calendar inside today's Irish Farmers Journal.
16,000 farmers could be locked out of acres. Find out what your chances are of getting in. Nitrates rules to force farmers to hunt for 70,000 acres of extra land. Plus, all you need to know on grant aid for farm solar panels.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal with your free IFA calendar. You cannot afford to miss it.
Under the one sky, we share all of life's experiences, including grief. It helps so much to talk, to reminisce, to reflect. Irish Hospice Foundation Bereavement Support Line is open for all of us who are grieving. Free phone 1800 80 70 77 to talk to someone in confidence and for a shoulder to lean on.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Temperatures are expected to fall to -8 degrees in places again tonight, but Donegal will escape the worst of it. Met Éireann says the lowest temperature so far recorded overnight was -8 degrees in counties Roscommon and Galway. On the east coast, a low of -6.4 was recorded in Dunsany, County Meath. Temperatures at Dublin Airport fell to -4.1. A status orange warning is in place for 19 counties until midday today. Another orange alert comes into effect from 6 o'clock for all counties bar Donegal. Meteorologist with Met Éireann, Michelle Dillon, says the Western Midlands were the coldest overnight. At present, the mildest temperatures in the country are being recorded at Malin Head.
The lowest temperatures last night were at Mount Dillon, -8.2, and Athenry, -8.1. But really widely across many areas, temperatures getting below -5 degrees. Milder then, or less cold, I should say, in parts of the west and the northwest. Malin Head is currently reporting 5 degrees, so a big difference there in coastal parts of the northwest.
Well, Brian Cannon is the Director of Road Services with Donegal County Council. He says roads in Donegal remain in a treacherous condition and winter maintenance has been his department's priority over the course of the past week. Speaking to Greg on today's 9 till noon show, he stressed there are no concerns at present about grit and salt supplies.
No particular concerns, Greg. TAA, Transport Infrastructure Ireland, coordinate salt quantities on a national basis, and there is a reserve nationally, and we have to make a return every Monday on the volume of salt used in the previous week so that we get our stocks replenished. We do have a number of weeks of stock available at any one time, so we're not particularly concerned. Our winter maintenance programme is demand-led. If we have to treat, we treat. It's not a budgetary decision.
The Taoiseach has paid tribute to an Irish peacekeeper killed overnight while serving in Lebanon. One soldier died, another is being treated for very serious injuries after the incident. They were serving with the UNIFIL mission there. The Defence Force members were travelling as part of a convoy when they came under small arms fire late last night. Speaking this morning in Brussels, Taoiseach Micheál Martin described the death as a tragic loss.
Ireland's international contribution. It is our peacekeepers who have made the most noble of contributions to Ireland's reputation abroad, and who has manifested, I think, in the best possible way, Ireland's contribution to the world. And that's why it's so sad.
A motorist's been arrested in Letterkenny on suspicion of drug driving while on patrol last night. Gardaí from the Roads Policing Unit carried out an oral fluid test which detected cannabis in the driver's system. The driver was subsequently arrested and a blood specimen collected at the local Garda station. It's now been sent for analysis. Funding has been awarded for a major development at Drumbo Woods. Just under €50,000 been granted to progress plans for a nature-based play space and the Drumbo Bowl multifunction outspace. The funding will be used to procure a landscape architect design team to develop concept designs and secure requisite and statutory approvals to develop the facility. The funding's been welcomed by the Cathaoirleach of the Lifford-Stranora Municipal District, Councillor Patrick McGowan. An Inishowen councillor has hit out at motorists who, he says, selfishly ignore disabled parking bays in Buncrana. Councillor Jack Murray says there have been a number of occasions when motorists have parked in disabled bays without having permits to do so. A number of fines have been issued in recent weeks for the offence. Councillor Murray is calling on Donegal County Council to put measures in place to ensure those people who need to use the spaces can do so without obstruction.
The disabled parking bays in Buncrana have been brought to my attention that quite regularly people seem to ignore and selfishly park on disabled parking bays that are there for a reason, for people who need to use them. And I asked the council to make them clear, though they should already be, but to make it clear that there is fines that will be issued should you ignore those and should you park on a disabled parking bay when you don't need it.
Weather forecast, very cold, sunny and mainly dry today with a chance of a few showers, some of them turning wintry as they come inland. Temperatures remaining below freezing in many areas through the morning. Afternoon highs at best +1 to +4 degrees Celsius, generally in light northwesterly winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Thursday morning, December the 15th. The death has taken place of Bridie Byrne, Mallintown. Her remains will repose at St Columkille's Village Oratory, Clonmany from 5 until 8 o'clock today. Requiem Mass will take place tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in Lags Cemetery, Malin. The death has taken place of Sean O'Shaughnessy, Ballyhern, Kilmacrennan. Remains will be reposing at his late residence today from 12 noon until 10 o'clock and tomorrow from 12 noon until 10 o'clock, with rosary both evenings at 9 o'clock. House private on the morning of the funeral, please. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 11:30, going to St Columba's Church, Kilmacrennan for 12 noon Requiem Mass, which can be viewed on Church Services TV. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Billy Broderick, Riverdale Heights, Killybegs, County Donegal, formerly of Youghal, County Cork. Remains reposing at McBurshey's funeral home from 12 until 2 o'clock strictly today. Removal from his home at 10:30 tomorrow morning to St Mary of the Visitation Church, Killybegs for 11 o'clock funeral mass. Burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Mass will be streamed live on mcmmedia.tv. Family flowers only, please. House strictly private, please. The death has taken place of Frank Houston, Brocka, Clohan, County Donegal. Frank's remains will repose at his late residence from 4:30 this afternoon and from 12 noon tomorrow. Family time from 10 p.m. until 12 noon and on the morning of the funeral. Requiem Mass in Our Lady of Perpetual Succour, Glenfin at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, with interment afterwards in Kilty Vogue Cemetery, Glenfin. Requiem Mass can be viewed on the parish webcam. Family flowers only, please. Donations if desired to the Alzheimer's Society, Donegal branch, care of Marley Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Bazina Grzuska, Railway Court, Letterkenny, reposing at the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountaintop, Letterkenny, this afternoon from 2:30 until 4 o'clock, with removal to St Junan's Cathedral for reception prayers at 4:30. Reposing overnight for 1 o'clock Requiem Mass tomorrow afternoon, followed by interment in Newleck Cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Billy Dohoney, 17 Muckish Avenue, Letterkenny, formerly of Ard O'Donnell, reposing at the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountaintop, Letterkenny, today from 4:30 until 5:30, with removal to St Junan's Cathedral for reception prayers at 6 o'clock. Reposing overnight for 3 o'clock Requiem Mass tomorrow afternoon, which can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in the family plot in Cornwall Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations if wished to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Dennis Anthony Wallace, Coshlocha, Gidor Road, Dunlow, reposing at his mother's house in Coshlocha. Funeral Mass tomorrow at St Crona's Church, Dunlow at 12 noon, with interment afterwards in Mahery Cemetery. The death has taken place of Willie Doherty, Umla, Carrygart. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, going to the Church of St John the Baptist for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on the Meva Parish Facebook page. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu if desired to Donegal MS and the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. Family time from 10 p.m. until 11 a.m. The death has taken place of Mary Lunny, Nay O'Donnell, Dominic Street, Dublin, and late of Bessborough Avenue, North Strand and County Donegal, reposing at the Curwen Funeral Home, Fairview Strand. Removal this morning to St Agatha's Church, North William Street, arriving for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in Dean's Grange Cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed on the St Agatha's Church webcam. And the death has taken place of Reginald Rage Porter, Grange, Inch Island, reposing at his home. Removal from his home this morning at 10:15 to Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Inch, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Beaumont Hospital, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Things we don't like to share. Uncomfortable moments under the mistletoe. Oh dear. Things we do like to share. Gifts, especially if they're from Samsung. Because this year, you can claim cash back on selected Samsung products with €220 on a Galaxy Z Flip 4 and €55 on a pair of Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. Merry Christmas to them and to you. Find out more at Samsung.com.
Purchase before the 20th December 22 from a participating retailer. Claim from Samsung within 60 days of purchase. T's and C's apply.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
Good morning again. How are you all keeping this chilly Thursday morning? I do hope you're well. Just to let you know that Glenties to Donegal Town, very bad this morning, according to one of our listeners. And also, Jacqueline told me that roads around the parish in Buncrana are lethal with black ice, so if you're in and around there. But I think we can almost presume, that everywhere is bad at this point. And we'll get through, hopefully now safely, the next couple of days, and we'll see a bit of a thaw on Sunday, we're being told. Right, just to mention our competition on the 9 till noon show this week, we've got a hamper worth over €500 to be won, courtesy of McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. We've 5 daily qualifiers in the draw tomorrow. Each qualifier will also win a daily prize, and today it's a bottle of Paco Rabanne 1 million EDT Eau de Toilette spray for men. The overall prize, by the way, is a Lancome Christmas hamper, a blank canvas tools to match your talent 20-piece brush set, a Be Perfect Iconic Essentials set, a bottle of Chanel Bleu de Chanel for men, a bottle of Victor and Ralph Flower Bomb EDP spray, and a 20 by 16 inch gallery wrapped canvas from McGee's, so you can have your favourite photo wrapped in canvas ready to hang. And I can't recommend them enough. They really are quite impactful. And your modern phone now takes probably images that are of high enough quality to look really good on such a canvas as well. The question today: which country is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition? Which country is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition? Text your answer, your name and address to 086 60 25,000 by SMS or WhatsApp. So it's free for you to enter. And don't forget, makeup and makeup sets from names like Blank, Canvas, Clarins, Lancome and Vici available in McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. And while you have your phone out, we're going to play Say What as well. Tell us what the missing word is here. This is from Rewind with Rory.
So, Max, whatever you're doing for your birthday, enjoy it. Hope you get loads of cards, loads of presents,
Loads of cards, loads of presents, and loads of what? All right, so what is the answer there? Also, the answer, your name and address to 086 60 25,000. So we'll give, if someone is correct today, we'll give them an entry into the card draw, and they'll be in with a chance to win. A 1 in 4 chance. We didn't have a winner yesterday, actually, believe it or not. They'll be with a 1 in 4 chance of winning a €100 voucher for the Inishowen Gateway Hotel in Buncrana. Why not treat the family this weekend to Sunday carvery lunch with Santa? Gift included for all the children. Booking is advised as there is limited availability. The number there, 9361144. 9361144. You get a Sunday carvery. Santa's there, present for the children. What else could you be at on a Sunday? Okay, good luck if you're playing the bingo today. Of course, it is Jackpot Day. We're going to be joined by our next guest on this edition of the 9 till noon show after this and a break.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 15th of December, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €13,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 50. The jackpot number is 37. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 85, 4, 46, 71, 25, 55, 67, 33, 74, and finally 10. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Fill your stocking this Christmas at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, sponsors of the 9 till noon show. McGee's.ie, or like us on Facebook for a chance to win some great prizes.
Ho, ho, ho! Pet Value Ballbuffet in Buncrana have a fantastic range of Christmas stockings, toys, treats and leads, with 40% off selected pet beds while stocks last. We have a wide range of animals and birds in both stores. Pick up the perfect gift for you or your pets this Christmas at Pet Value, open 7 days.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments presents the world's greatest ABBA show. Direct from Sweden, Arrival, featuring original ABBA musician. Sunday the 8th of January, Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets on sale from hotel reception and Ticketmaster.ie. Follow us on Facebook, Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Sporting games at home this Christmas. BCE and Riley pool tables for all the family in 5 and 6 foot options. Easy to assemble with easy folding options. 2-piece and 1-piece pool and snooker cues. Unicorn dartboards, the ideal Christmas pastime. Give the gift of sport this Christmas, in store and online at bmcsports.ie.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Late night shopping has arrived at Foyleside Shopping Centre. From the 5th of December, enjoy shopping at your leisure until 10 p.m. every weekday. Convenient parking, gift cards, and over 50 stores to choose from. Foyleside is the ultimate Christmas shopping destination. Visit foyleside.co.uk for store opening times. See Facebook for latest offers.
This festive season, enjoy great food in the heart of Letterkenny at Dillon's Hotel, with a special Christmas lunch and dinner menu available in December. Book your place now for New Year's Eve, with a 4-course dinner, live music and a complimentary glass of bubbly for the countdown for just €35. To book, call 91-22977. Dillon's Hotel, Letterkenny, with live music every Friday and Saturday night. Gift vouchers available from hotel reception and online at dillons-hotel.ie.
National Fuels, Churchill. Delivering home heating oil in Letterkenny and surrounding areas. 9137 400. National Fuels. Bringing you the time at...
Time is now 17 minutes past 10. A star-studded concert to thank all those involved in the aftermath of the Creeslough tragedy is to be held in Letterkenny in the new year. The concert, Together for Creeslough, will feature some great names: Brian McFadden, Keith Duffy, Brian Kennedy, Moya Brennan, Mickey Joe Hart, Lisa McHugh, Maireadney Winnie, the Whistling Donkeys, and many, many more. Father John Joe Duffy is the parish priest of Creeslough, of course, or in Creeslough, and he joins us on the programme now. Father John Joe, how are you keeping?
Greg, I'm, apart from a head cold, I'm good. And Greg, just a wee correction, I'm not the parish priest, I'm the curate in Creeslough, but people have been referring to me always as the parish priest. The parish priest is Father Dugan. Come here, Greg, can I just begin this morning by saying that our heartfelt sympathies and prayers are with the soldier who, the family of the soldier and the soldier who was killed in Lebanon, and with those who are injured, particularly the one that is seriously injured, and just to pay tribute to our Irish soldiers for the tremendous record they have in peacekeeping across the world, and how very much respected they are across the world. And our hearts go out to the family this morning that is receiving the bad news and the loved ones.
Yeah, and I know you've sent your people. Sorry, I think that's what you're going to go on to now, Father John Joe. I was going to say to your...
Go ahead. people in St. Helier in Jersey, and of course there's 3 fishermen that were lost there as well, and others who are facing tragedies this morning in other parts of the county and country. We're just, our thoughts are with them, but particularly with those in the Irish Army who have always been so helpful to us on so many occasions in our communities.
Now, as it relates to Together for Creasla, there's a line to be drawn with an event like this, Father John, whether the timing's right or the event is right, and for it to be the right reasons. And you've threaded that needle with this. A bit of consideration and thought had to go into this, I presume, Father John, as I say, if it was the right thing at the right time.
I suppose, Greg, from the very first moment that I met you there that night, and just to thank you for the kindness and the way in which your own presence was there, and the way you spoke to me on that night, and so on. It has been trying to bring about for healing from those early days, and that began by people coming to the rosary in the church. Then we had the novenas. Then we had other things that contributed to the healing, the football, the athletics, young girls who do show jump, and all of those things which our community is very proud of. We had the tractor run come into Creasla, and a member of the family of someone who was lost paid tribute to that person who died in the tragedy, and the tractor run into Creasla recently in aid of Down syndrome. And this concert is saying thank you, but I believe it's also part of healing, because I believe music is great healing and great therapy, and it's not a concert in your ordinary word of concert. This is a coming together for Creasla, and when I say Creasla, I mean not just the physical community of Creasla as a place, but all who are affected by this tragedy, and it's a much wider community now than just the physical terrain of Creasla, and it's for people to meet together, people to come together. And one of the things families have been saying is how very thankful they are to those who first responded, which was the local community and the communities around, and then those in the services both here in Donegal and from Northern Ireland.
You know, we have a very important phrase. It's okay not to be okay. Do you think something like this also, you could repurpose that and say maybe part of this is to say it's okay to be okay? You know, still very much affected by something, but it's okay to be okay as well.
Well, Greg, of course, and you know, at first, it takes people time to just feel that they can maybe laugh again, or, you know, and everyone is at different stages on this journey, and the important thing is that we realize that, but we are all on this journey together, this journey of going forward. And come here, it's a very difficult journey, and it's going to be very difficult, of course, and it is very difficult and will remain very difficult for those who have lost loved ones, those who were there at the scene, those who were injured, and it's not about, it's in no way denying all of that, but it is also part of the process of bringing people together, because I think it's good to come together. We saw how important it was for our village that the global village surrounded us, holding vigils, holding events, sending messages, being present. Just the other day, hampers arrived from Knocklion Parish in Dublin here to the parish, you know, to be distributed by myself to families and so on. Just a gesture of goodwill, and you have all those things. So it's about being together, and the music being therapy, and it's all of that, Greg.
Yeah, for sure. Now, with respect to you, Father John Joe, I'm going to switch to Joe Gallagher of Joe Gallagher Entertainments to talk about the lineup, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, Joe Gallagher of Joe Gallagher. Yes, go ahead. No, stay on the line. We can do that in a bit. We can do that in a bit, Father John Joe. Joe Gallagher, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Not too bad. I know Father John Joe wants to thank you, and we'll get to that. How did you become involved in this? And I presume it's a nice thing for you to be able to be involved in, Joe.
Absolutely. Great. Well, it's very simple. I'd be very friendly with Brian McFadden from his Westlife days, and we do a lot of dates for Brian and Keith Duffy here now. Joined up a Boys Life, which is a 50-50 of Westlife and Boys Zone. So Brian, whose father, Brendan, is from Creeslaw, he'd done an article in a Sunday paper just after that, and he rung me up. He said, "Did you see such and such a paper?" I said, "I didn't, but I'll go and look for it." So anyway, I started talking, and it was a bit emotional, the truth be told, because he started saying about his childhood memories of Creeslaw. And I believe it or not, in my days of DJing, I used to work in the Concorders Rest for Danny Lafferty. And, how many times have you driven through Creeslaw? You stop off at Lafferty's shop. I mean, it's just great. And it was a part of the community. So Brian and I started talking, and he just dropped in and said, "I'd love to do something for it." And I joked with him, and I said, "So what you're saying to me, Joe, organise something and we'll do it." And that's how it came about, with a couple of conversations. I made a call then to Kieran Brogan. I said, "Listen, Kieran, I'm thinking about doing this, but I want to go the right way about it. I don't want to just land down and say, we're going to take over their concert. That's not what this is about." And Kieran and I met during the removal of some of the bodies, and we had a bit of a conversation. And I said, "Look, I don't want to even announce anything, do anything to after the month's main masses are over." So I'm back to Brian. I said, "Look, here, Brian, here where we're at." Spoke to a councillor friend of mine in Donegal. He's thinking about the best way that we can put this together. And we met then with Father John Joe and had a lovely cup of tea and a laugh and a chuckle, and started saying what we could do. And, it was light-hearted, and I think I seen that in the community went down. It was the day that they opened, just after they opened the shop, Lafferty's little shop again, Kieran and I went in, and the community spirit was coming back slowly but surely.
And I suppose from your perspective too, Joe, a nice reassurance and guidance for Father John Joe as well, knowing that he has his finger right on the pulse more than anyone, I would argue.
On the pulse.
Yeah.
100%, and I needed guidance from him. He said, thanks. This was easy, not being flippant. This is quite easy for me to put together. I spoke to several people, and nobody said no. They just said, "Get us the dates, let's get the dates, and let's do it." So I wanted to try and keep a Donegal connection in some shape or form. So we had several little meetings since, and Lisa McHugh jumped on it. The Whistling Donkeys, who play a lot in Donegal, said, "Listen, count us in." Brian Kennedy, 100%. And Mickey Joe Hart, and I had a cup of coffee one day, and he asked me to do something. I said, "You're my man, need you to do me a favour." "No problem, I'll be there, just tell me when." And then it started off that it was just going to be Keith and Brian was coming over, hosted Fadden rang me up. He said, "Look," I spoke to my band, the entire band's coming over. And then it went to something entirely different, and it's now a real star-studded event. We've got Moira lined up.
There's a real mix there too, Joe, isn't there?
Well, that's what we try to do. Yeah. We try to please everybody, and unfortunately we'll not be able to do that. But we think we've got the mix right. We'll get the running order right. Now, there's another couple of trump cards that we haven't played yet, but I think will be really, really good whenever we release it.
I don't suppose you want to play one of those trump show cards on this show right now, do you, Joe?
You suppose, right? No, I won't.
Okay. I'm still getting over the fact that you got a cup of tea out of Father John Joe Duffy, because I'm sure, Father John Joe, you still owe me a cup of tea.
I owe you at least a cup of tea, Greg.
Just a cup of tea, Father John Joe. But you wanted to thank Joe for his involvement.
No, I want to thank Joe, who has brought all this together, and I want to thank the artists and the musicians for doing what they're doing, because they're doing it from a very genuine place, and they're doing it from their heart, because they want to do something for this, as I say, wider community, and they want to do it for the families, and they know the place. Maya Brennan was talking yesterday about how her dad played here in the Creeslaw Hall and at Feshes, and Creasla means so much to a lot of people, and people just want to reach out and help no more than those others who have reached out in so many ways from right across the world. The musicians just want to reach out and help now, and this, please God, will be a night that will, help us on that journey that we're on to healing. And again, all the families were agreeable to this, and the families. The one thing that I have heard so much within the families of the bereaved, is just that they're thanking of the people who have helped, and that gratitude in their own sorrow and in their own pain, and looking out for others and looking out for other families. It's just something wonderful to experience. That care for others in the midst of what is such an upheaval that has been visited upon them, and such loss in their lives, and yet that care towards others and that thankfulness and so on.
Yeah. Joe, it's a big enough venue, the Oral Leisure Centre, around 2,500, 3,000, something along those lines. There'll be I presume. How big is it?
That would be standing, but seated, it's around 1,500.
1,500. There'll be quite a number of invited guests, I would imagine, given the tone of this. So there'll be there'll be the tickets are going to be like hotcakes. They're released on December 17th. They're €25. They'll be available for purchase at the Dry Arch in Letterkenny, Creasla Shop, Arnold's Hotel in Dunfanaghy, and the Coffee Pod in Creasla. As I say, I really imagine very quickly demand is going to exceed availability.
I would think it would, yeah. There's certainly hope so, because for a great cause. And as Father John Joe said, it's about bringing them all together, and that's what we want to do. And on the night, it'll be emotional for a lot of people, especially the emergency services, the first responders, and the local guys that have helped. They might have seen each other since then. And, after Christmas, there'll be a lot of houses with an empty seat at the table this Christmas. And, it's something maybe for them to look forward to and get out. And that's why the reason's been done. The artists are looking forward to it. We have a few people that are ringing all the time looking for any chance of a slot. Can we get on this? And, we are in it with us, which is a great indication of what people want to do to get out and help the people of Creasla. For me, listen, we do this day in and day out. It's not a problem to put this together. We're delighted to put it together, and we're delighted to be working alongside Father John Joe, who's definitely keeping us right. So we're really looking forward to it, and once the tickets go on sale on Saturday morning, I would suspect it should be sold out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Thank you very much for your time, Joe. I really appreciate it. We look forward to it. I think it's going to be a lovely event. Joe Gallagher of Joe Gallagher Entertainments, and also thank you to Father John Joe Duffy, Father John Joe Duffy, the curate in Creasla. Father John Joe, thank you so much as always. I really appreciate it.
Greg, could I just say a quick thank you to the community, and thank you to Creasla Community Association for getting the lights up in Creasla this year, and that was a difficult decision for them to know what to do, and they put a lot of thought into that, and just to thank them. And we had Sam Maguire in the parish here the other day, and the president of Ulster GA and the president of the GA, Liam McCarthy, came with Kieran and Liam McElhenney and Michael Langan and Manus Freel and so on. They brought the cup around to the children in all the schools, and that was a very nice moment. And I might give away one of the things at the concert that hasn't been on the poster yet, that some of the local children will also partake in the singing there. That will also,
and they've got
from Mulroy College and from a few of the schools here that have a direct involvement. So that will be nice for the children as well.
Excellent. And you might stick a few.
Thank you, Greg.
You might hide 2 tickets for me, maybe Father John Joe. They can't refuse you.
Greg, thank you for all you've done. Personally, I want to thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for being so sensitive on that particular night, and since that, and the way you have reported on the Creasler tragedy.
Yeah, well, it's all of us. You know, we all feel it and still do, even though we try and plough on.
No, thank you for all your help.
Father John Joe,
thanks to everyone.
Take care of yourself. I hope that cold clears up for you quickly.
Thank you, Greg.
God bless. Thank you very much indeed, Father John Joe. Non-committal on my request for 2 tickets there, but I understand. It's going to be a nice evening, I think. Right, okay. Greg, can you let listeners know that Glengesh Pass is impassable? Emergency services have been out twice in 24 hours trying to get people out of it. Council have been informed. Still no sign to say road is closed. Now, that text call came in a little while ago. So I'm not sure if a sign has come up since. Personally, I have my winter tyres on the car and never have any bother. I'm using winter tyres on my cars every year, and if more people would do the same. But if snow, it wouldn't make a difference. Yeah, indeed. And we had actually quite a conversation about that earlier in the week, wasn't it? Caller says she's located out near the Ballymacary Road, which was gritted this morning, and an hour later a road sweeper came along and swept it all up. How ridiculous is that? But the salt works on impact. You know, I don't think... The salt works on impact. I'm not sure really it'd be serving any function an hour later in any case. It doesn't work over a period of time. Hi, Greg. It's starting to snow in Petticoat now and very cold too. I would say so too. I wonder what the Petticoat to Lahey road's like. I don't think I'd fancy that today. But it's starting to snow there too. Petticoat's beautiful, by the way, if you've never been there. Why is there no grit left on the Letterkenny side of the Ballybofey Road? A lot of these calls... we're happy to platform them as well too, but the council can be asked directly as well. Ask that man, why is the footpaths in Letterkenny not done? Unbelievable. We talked about this already in our earlier conversation. Don't have the resources or probably the manpower as well to do that. And as I say, you know, for me anyway, the footpaths in Donegal Town are as important as those in Letterkenny, and the ones in Ballybofey, Stranraer, I'm sure, are as important as the ones in Donegal Town and Buncrana and Dunlow and Glentees. You know, I don't think you could cherry pick which area that you would treat, really. But there is not a footpath gritting programme. They do react when need be, but there is not a programme. Falcarra was terrible. Pavements not gritted yesterday. Why not? Town committee. Thanks to the council for the grit drop to our area. We spend every evening with barrows and shovels spreading. Great community response there. Why is the Garton route never gritted from Churchill to Glenveigh? So many elderly living there, depending on home help. We spoke about the Kincastle to Dunlow road through Mean Ban during the week. Why can this extremely busy road not be done? It's 5 kilometres. The council yard and waterworks is on this road. I think the argument was that that is not the main road. The main road is gritted. Now, that doesn't mean it's not an inconvenience for those living on the road, but there's an awful lot of roads. The majority of roads are like that. But I think, if I remember correctly, you can... that is not the main road. The tax for cars should be graded the same way as the roads are. We pay the tax as the people who get the roads salted. We pay the same tax. Any chance of getting an update on the Fintown Ballybofey to Letterkenny Road? Anyone travelled that recently? Let me know. The Gortley Road to Letterkenny has just been salted, but it is very bad. I just came over it, and the salt needs time to work. Avoid if possible, believes that caller. Any update on Fintown to Letterkenny? A couple of people asking that question. There's a car stuck on the Finton side of Meena Roy. Long delays, people there. That was some time ago now, so maybe that has been sorted. What's the road like from Lifford to Letterkenny? Asks another if you can assist. Some of those are carries over from the breakfast show there, by the way. I want to mention that the ICA quiz, it's a charity quiz, is to be held at the Ramblers in Brocka on Wednesday, the 28th of December at 9 p.m. So if you're looking for something to do between Christmas and the New Year, the charity ICA quiz is on at the Ramblers in Brocka on Wednesday, the 28th, starts at 9 p.m. Travelling from St Johnstone's to Letterkenny this morning after heavy snow in the area last night. No roads gritted, extremely hazardous driving conditions. Why was the road not gritted? Hi, Greg. The roads around Donegal are a joke. Not even a white line on most of them, or a cat's eye, only in Donegal. My wife had a friend up from Cork back in the summer, and she could not believe how bad the roads are around the county. We are a very rural county with more roads than any other, I think. Hi, just hoping you can ask the county council to deliver sand to the Black Mountain, please. No heaps here. We can make that representation, but we'll get that council number for you as well. So in other words, if you log it, let us know how you get on. We can chase it up. Maybe that's how we can get progress where progress is needed. All right, stay right where you are here on the 9 till noon show. We're going to take a quick break, and we've loads more on the way.
Gift sets by celebrity, by budget, or from the classic collection at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For the perfect present every time. Visit mcgees.ie, sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
Free 2023 glossy farming calendar. It's one of the farming favourites of the year. Don't miss your free IFA calendar inside today's Irish Farmers Journal.
16,000 farmers could be locked out of acres. Find out what your chances are of getting in. Nitrates rules to force farmers to hunt for 70,000 acres of extra land. Plus, all you need to know on grant aid for farm solar panels.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal with your free IFA calendar. You cannot afford to miss it.
Shrink your Christmas bill at Dunnes Stores. Delicious free-range 4-kilo Irish turkeys are just $39.99. And incredible unsmoked centre-cut Irish ham is now just $13.59 for 2.75 kilos. That's 20% off. King prawn cocktail and oak and peat cold smoked salmon are just €6. Plus, with our 10 off 50 grocery voucher, you save even more. Dunnes Stores. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used to next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments proudly presents, direct from the USA, The Drifters, featuring original singer Rick Shepherd. Take a trip down memory lane. Celebrate a night of nostalgia with The Drifters at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, Saturday 11th of February. Tickets available from hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie.
We all need a top-up now and again. If you're pregnant, your flu and COVID-19 vaccines will give your immune system the top-up it needs to help protect you in the months ahead. Both flu and COVID-19 can cause serious illness in pregnancy, and your vaccines will help protect you and your baby. So put a vaccine appointment on your to-do list or talk to your doctor or midwife. Visit hsc.ie for more information. From the HSC.
Hi, Pat Short here.
And Face Short over here.
I can see that.
They don't know.
Okay.
They can't see it.
We're here to tell you about our new show, which is going to be in
Anne Greenan Theatre, Letterkenny, Saturday the 7th of January 2023. Tickets €30 at annegreenan.com.
Hi, Teresa Mannion here with a road safety alert for bad weather. Black ice is one of winter's biggest hazards and is hard to see. Watch out for sheltered or shaded areas on the road, under trees and near high walls. Visit rsa.ie from the Road Safety Authority.
Mike Denver in concert with guests Brendan Shine and Philomena Begley at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny on January 6th and Millennium Forum Derry on March 18th. Tickets now on sale at both venues and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with Philomena Begley and Brendan Shine in Letterkenny and Derry. The perfect Christmas gift.
Okay, our piece of Christmas music today is coming up very shortly, and it's a local piece. It's a local take on a very familiar song, Fairy Tale of New York. I'm joined in studio now by Daniel and Finlay Sheridan. Good morning to you. How are you getting on?
Good morning, Greg.
Good morning.
Thanks.
It's good to have you with us. Right, okay. Finlay, you play the drums.
Yep.
You're only 10. Oh, well,
Yeah.
10's actually quite a lot, isn't it, really, I suppose?
Kind of.
Was it you who was on the Late Late Show?
Yeah.
3 years ago now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I was about 7 at the time.
Yeah, do you remember it?
No, 7.
Right. All right, lads, you can do that at home. Come here. Do you remember it clearly? Like, do you remember the experience?
Yeah. There was one time I was sitting on the drum kit and there was a light flashing in my eye.
Yeah.
I couldn't see anything. So I was pretty much blinded. I was still playing.
Yeah.
And I was...
What age did you start playing drums at, Finlay, to get so good?
6, maybe.
Really? So
he was 5.
Five, but it was very, very early on. But so, Daniel, you obviously had a knack for it. We were talking about instruments yesterday, nature versus nurture. I'm convinced you have to be born with an ability, and you just hope someone spots it and then nurtures it.
Yeah, I say, well, me and my other son Evan play, and we just had him out sort of messing around our drum kit in the garage. You know, he just took to it. He sat down, I showed him something, he just played it. You know, he just seemed to be so natural.
What age is your other son, Evan, who's not with us today, but he's part of the band My Generation, of course?
Yeah, he's 23.
Right, okay. Yeah. And are you actually in the band with him?
No, we actually have a drummer, you know, that plays out around the pubs.
But I don't think he's going to be in a pub like But I'm just wondering, is he official member? You know, he can be switched in and out.
When we play kind of festivals and any outdoor during the day type stuff, you know, he comes along and plays. You know, then
understand that. All right, very good. And do you like playing with other musicians, Finlay?
Yeah, it's good crack, I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of responsibility with the drummer because you have to keep pace. I think that would be my greatest challenge. You don't want me speeding up and slowing down in the background.
That's it.
Is that the knack, really? Isn't it?
They need to be rock solid, or they put everybody else off. You know.
Are you left or right-handed, Finlay?
I'm right-handed.
Okay. So does that mean you cross your hands? Is that how that works?
Yeah.
It is? All right, okay. Right, tell us why you decided to record Fairy Tale of New York. Daniel?
Well, during lockdown, we were bored. We were doing a lot of sort of live stream things on Facebook and just kind of got bored, you know, after a while. So we thought we'd just do something we could add on, you know.
It's funny how everyone and a lot of musicians went through that process. There was this lift from the lives, and then it was like, right, okay. Then the creative juices kick in a wee bit more then, maybe.
When you're just playing out sort of in front of a live audience, and then you're just playing to a camera, there was no buzz out of it, you know.
Yeah.
So
where do you get the feedback from?
That's it. So we just decided then we would record something with their family members, you know, just a good chance to do that when we had the time.
So who all's in the band? Who's all going to be playing on this track we're going to listen to?
There's son John was in it, and Jamie, my daughter, is in it as well, and Evan and Finlay.
Right. So is this officially My Generation, or is this a different sort of...
it's just sort of, it's just a wee family thing.
The
so we had, you know, My Generation's our own band, you know, that we play around.
I get you. Right, okay.
Around the pubs.
Yeah, indeid. Right, so it's a real family affair then?
Yeah.
Okay, and all of your, they all sing, play instruments, all of your...
most do, yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant. Okay, and what do you feel, Finlay, do you like playing with your brothers, sisters, dad? Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, it's very fun, but sometimes I just like playing on my own.
Yeah, and it's only the drums that you play? I say only, it's also one instrument more than I can play, but what
I'm learning some guitar at school. I have a little bit of bass and fiddle.
And do you play by ear? Is that how that works when you're playing the drums? Is it?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, just by ear,
There's no music as such, is there, Daniel?
No, it's just listening to it and sort of pick it out.
Okay, and if this, don't want to put you on the spot, Finlay, but is there a song with drums in it that is your favourite song because of the drums?
Probably Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, or You Look Good on the Dance Floor by Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah. So it's very rapid and noisy, really.
Yeah.
That's the stuff
what a young boy likes.
Exactly, but great cracking songs, really are. Okay, so there's a video for this song as well, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
Yep.
It's on Facebook. It's on our My Generation page.
Or YouTube.
Yeah, or YouTube, yeah.
So Facebook's for you old ones, and the young ones can watch it on YouTube. Is that how it works, Daniel? Okay. Could you class yourself now as a YouTuber? You're not really. Are you?
No.
You're not. Okay,
No.
but you are on YouTube.
But I want to be one when I'm older. So does my friend. Yeah.
Games?
Yeah.
Which one? Minecraft?
Any sort of game anyway.
What game are you playing currently?
Probably a bunch of Minecraft, probably.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, very good. Why not? You know, tied in with the drums as well, because you have to stand out.
Yeah, I'll be drummer, guard, and a YouTuber.
Brilliant,
probably.
Fantastic. Yeah, and why not do all at the same time? Good stuff. Well done. Right, okay, we're going to listen to this now, Daniel. You're back gigging now with My Generation, are you?
We are. Yeah.
I mean, obviously everything's back open again now, and
everything's back to normal. Thank God.
Busy Christmas.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Do you want to tell us where you're going to be playing so people can catch you?
Can put me in the spot. I think we're in Voodoo. One of the nights we're in Warehouse. Kind of all around.
Yeah, keep an eye out. All right, brilliant stuff. Great venues, obviously.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Right, okay, well done. Continued success with My Generation, Daniel and Finlay. Your career going from strength to strength. You're kind of doing it backwards. You've done the telly, And now you're doing the singles, so to speak. But it's an exciting thing to be able to say that you've recorded a single, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
Very much.
Yeah, it was good. Like we recorded in the studio in Full Tilt Studios. Like, and he just the first take. He got the song in the first take.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's amazing.
And he'd hang around for hours, and we done all our bits and added on our layers. You know, onto So
yeah. And do you see a good career for? I mean, you work with musicians. You've got a musician's ear. Do you think he's going places?
I would say he's very natural. You know. He picks up stuff very quick. He's rock solid. Like he's sort of got like a metronome built in his head.
Really?
He's really
okay,
solid,
brilliant.
You know,
It's an amazing talent. Yeah. And it's my favourite instrument in a band, the drums, actually, funny enough. Yeah. Okay, right, listen, Daniel and Finlay, Sheridan, remind us where people go to the My Generation page to watch the video on Facebook, and is it My Generation on YouTube?
My Generation
as well?
Band on... I think Donegal Daily put up
Right,
YouTube.
okay. Well, we can link it here as well. All right, brilliant stuff. Well done, guys. Okay, that's Daniel and Finlay Sheridan, brother Even, and a few other family members.
Yeah, Jamie and John as well, yeah.
All right, and this is their their rendition on Fairy Tale of New York. We'll be back with more after this. Thanks, guys.
Christmas Eve, babe, in the drunk tank, an old man said to me, won't see another one. And then he sang a song, the rare old mountain dew. I turned my face away and dreamed about you. Got on the lucky one. Came in 18 to 1. I've got a feeling this year's for me and you. So happy Christmas. I love you, baby. I can see a better time when all our dreams come true. They've got cars big as bars, they've got rivers of gold. When the wind blows right to you, it's no place for the old. When you first took my hand on the cold Christmas Eve, you promised me Broadway was waiting for me. You were handsome.
You're pretty, queen of New York City. When the band finished playing, they howled out for more. Sinatra was singing, all the drunks they were swinging. We kissed on the corner, then danced through the night. The boys from the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. You're an old slut and junk lying there almost dead in the drip in that bed.
You scumbaggy maggot, cheap lousy faggot. Happy Christmas, you're us. I pray God it's all odd.
The boys from the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day. I could have been someone.
Well, so could anyone. You took my dreams from me when I first found you.
I kept them with me, babe. I put them with my own. Can't make it all alone. I built my dreams around you. The boys of the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day.
The 9 till noon show, sponsored by McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. With all your perfume and aftershave presents this Christmas. McGee's, delivered to your door, or you can collect in store.
This Christmas, give the people you love gifts that keep on giving from Vodafone. With up to €200 off new smartphones they'll love. Plus, they'll get a January bonus of an average of €130 back if they trade in their used smartphone. See Vodafone.ie or pop in store. Vodafone. Together we can.
New customers only. Subject to availability, eligibility and annual price increase of CPI plus 3%. Average €130 trade-in value based on August-October 2022. See Vodafone.ie/terms.
Nutria's winter feed offers now available at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags, get one free when purchasing Nutria's pre-Caver ATP nut or Nutria's Next Gen Heifer ATP. €10 off per tonne. Also available on bulk orders. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrias.ie for full product details.
The choices we make determine where we're going. Where will your choices take you? Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles and join the thousands of Irish drivers who swap diesel for Toyota Hybrid Electric, lowering their emissions and fuel costs. We've Ireland's widest hybrid electric range, including the Toyota CHR and Yaris Cross. Don't miss out. Order today at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
This Christmas, Alone, the charity that enables older people to age at home safely and comfortably, is asking you to please share your warmth. We are helping thousands of older people and we need to grow to meet the demand for our services. Please donate at alone.ie and share your warmth. Alone.ie.
Are you searching for a perfect Christmas gift for the country music fan in your life? The Clanry Hotel Letterkenny presents The Three Amigos on Tuesday, January 3rd and Nathan Carter on Friday, the 20th of January. Tickets available from the hotel reception. Call the Clanry Hotel today on 91243969.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Whatever the weather this December, Letterkenny will bring a warm front to your shopping and great value for your pocket. Highland Weather Forecast, brought to you by Shop LK.
Very cold, sunny, mainly dry today with just the chance of a few showers, with some turning wintry as they come inland. Temperatures will remain below freezing in many areas throughout the morning, with afternoon highs no higher than +1 to +4 degrees in light northwesterly winds. But as we said before, locally it could feel much colder. Right, we are going to be talking history with Dr. Joe Kelly after 11 o'clock. It's always a very popular segment. Normally, Caroline sets it up for like 3 minutes to 11, but thankfully today she's left it to after 11, so we won't have to break it up or rush it. So that's coming up. We've got our competition winners and so much more besides. And to clear the path, let's catch up on this last break as we head towards the news at 11.
Gift sets by celebrity, by budget, or from the classic collection at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For the perfect present every time. Visit mcgees.ie, sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
Are you buying a Christmas gift for the swimmer, camper, hill walker, angler, adventure traveller, equestrian enthusiast, skier, farmer, outdoor worker or happy walker this Christmas? Wet n Wild is your #1 shop for quality outdoor clothing, footwear and equipment to stay warm, safe and dry in the beautiful Donegal outdoors.
There's still time to give the gift of discovery this Christmas. So give the gift of an overnight escape or a meal they're sure to remember in that place they love or the one they'd love to try. Support Irish businesses and buy a voucher for one of Ireland's amazing hotels or restaurants today. Brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
Have you taken out a commercial lease on a property such as a business property, shop unit, factory or agricultural land?
Have you registered details of that commercial lease with the Property Services Regulatory Authority, the PSRA? If not, you may be breaking the law. Tenants of commercial leases are legally required to register the lease with the PSRA within 30 days of receipt of the related stamp certificate from the Revenue Commissioners. It's an offence not to. Remember, register details of your commercial lease online now at psr.ie.
Are you out Christmas shopping, or do you plan on meeting a friend or two for lunch, dinner or something small? The Tea Room Glencar has everything you need for a cosy catch-up. Open 7 days a week from 7:30 a.m. at Spar Glencar.
The Christmas countdown is on at Century Complex. We are now taking bookings for Christmas parties at Backstage Bar and Grill. Make your night extra special by adding a Prosecco reception or VIP cinema experience. Call us on 074 912 1976 to book, or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex this Christmas.
Give the gift of shoes this Christmas with Green Shoes. Top brands like Kate Appleby, Una Healy and Doc Martens. Also Tommy Bow, Bugatti, Echo and many more. A huge selection of everyday and special occasion footwear. If in doubt, gift cards are available. Green Shoes at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Market Square and in Fulcara. Shop LK and One for All gift cards accepted, and a deposit club is available. Shop online at greenshoes.com.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, at 11 o'clock, let's get a news update. Don't forget, Dr. Joe Kelly on his way very shortly, but for now we say good morning to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Temperatures are expected to fall to -8 degrees in places again tonight, but Donegal will escape the worst of it. A status orange warning is in place for 19 counties until midday today, with another orange alert coming into effect from 6 o'clock for all counties bar Donegal. Brian Cannon is the Director of Road Services with Donegal County Council. He says roads in the county remain in a treacherous condition, and winter maintenance has been the priority of his department for the past week. He has, however, stressed that there are no concerns about grit and salt supplies at present. Meanwhile, the Donegal Mountain Rescue Team are appealing to motorists to heed road signs put in place by Gardaí. It's after the service was called out last evening to assist people who became stranded on Loch Salt as a result of adverse weather conditions. Roadblock signs had been put in place by Gardaí. However, Donegal Mountain Rescue say they are being ignored by a number of motorists. The Army's Chief of Staff says the convoy attack last night in Lebanon included 2 Irish soldiers who were heading back home to attend family funerals. Sean Clancy says the death of one of the soldiers in the attack on an armoured vehicle has left a deep wound within the Defence Forces. Donegal man Michael Walker is a former Defence Force member who served in Lebanon. He believes security should be stepped up. The results of the 2022 National Inpatient Experience Survey have been launched today. Nationally, 82% of patients rated their overall experience of hospital care as good or very good, with a slightly higher figure, 84%, recorded at Letterkenny University Hospital. The hospital scored above the national average for questions on admissions, but not as well when it came to discussions with doctors. The Letterkenny report can be accessed on our website, highlandradio.com. Never ever drink or drug drive. That's the warning from the Donegal Road Safety Working Group as the festive season approaches. The group is appealing to motorists to drive responsibly over Christmas and New Year, as alcohol and drugs continue to be a significant contributing factor in fatal collisions. And the Agriculture Minister says the 50% increase in dairy income seen in 2022 is unusually strong. According to the Teagasc Economic Outlook report, the average income for 2022 was around €148,000 a year. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update at 12 noon.
All right, Michaela, thank you very much for that. Next time, please, don't come into studio, you can do it in the recording booth, because this is my TikTok time. I normally get 5 or 6 videos.
I'm sorry.
in.
Sorry
Yeah,
for
it's
disturbing you then.
Yeah, couldn't watch it on mute, but thanks very
Very
much.
important business.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be back with more after this really short break.
Things we don't like to share. Uncomfortable moments under the mistletoe. Oh dear.
Things we do like to share. Gifts, especially if they're from Samsung. Because this year, you can claim cash back on selected Samsung products with €220 on a Galaxy Z Flip 4 and €55 on a pair of Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. Merry Christmas to them and to you. Find out more at Samsung.com.
Purchase before the 20th December 22 from a participating retailer. Claim from Samsung within 60 days of purchase. T's and C's apply.
Okay, now some of your comments coming into us. So actually, I'll give you the council number, by the way, if you've any queries. And this is not to discourage you contacting us, but if you've any queries for the council as it relates to road maintenance or the supply of grit or salt into your area, to see if they can accommodate you, of course, the telephone number is 9153900, 9153900. So as we promised, we're joined on the programme now by Dr. Joe Kelly, a historian, of course. Good morning, Joe. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning to yourself and to those on Highland Radio.
How are you feeling? You're looking very festive there. You've got your winter jumper on. I see the snowman over your left shoulder. There's holly. It's resplendent in Christmas joy.
Well, sure, listen, we'll try to do our best with a young family and Santa Claus, the bearded man, like yourself, coming.
Exactly. He's more generous and more reliable than I am. That's the only difference. Right. Okay. We're going to talk history, of course, now. And we're going to talk about Erskine Childers and the Civil War 100 years, really, on. Where do you want to start, Joe?
Maybe people have been watching the documentary that was on for the last 3 nights on RT1 about the history of the Civil War. A very well put together documentary and very balanced. I think I would say that as a historian, it'd be worthwhile watching on playback. But it was a terrible time in our history to consider that we'd fought for 800 years to rid ourselves on most of the island of the British colonial legacy, and then in the end that we turned upon ourselves, and it ended up that brother was fighting brother, sister against sister, families were torn, and it led a terrible legacy for 100 years. In fact, so much so that we were so inward looking in the bitterness of Civil War politics that, and we know this in Donegal because only 6 miles of Donegal touch what is the Free State. The majority of our border is with the 6 counties, that the 6 counties were more or less abandoned because of that. And we're coming now to an age where Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, the anti and pro-treaty parties of history, are in coalition. And maybe that union might bring healing and the sense that it's time now to look at a serious way at the 6 counties and to pick up where we should have in 1921 and try to resolve this issue. So that's the bigger question.
Tell us, describe the landscape then, because it was a short war. It lasted 10 months from 1922 to 1923. And as you say, those that stood shoulder to shoulder in the past were now in opposition to one another. So what led to it and how was it fought?
Well, basically it was down to the treaty. It had been negotiated between plenipotentiaries. They were people that were sent. Michael Collins and different others, Arthur Griffiths and other men were sent there. And Erskine Childers, who we'll talk about today, he was sent as well as a secretary, not as a person with a vote, but as a person that would be the head secretary. And they negotiated, I would say, a treaty that should have been renegotiated. But at the time, it was considered by Collins the best we could get. And it was not the absolute freedom, but freedom to get freedom. And for Collins, this was a stepping stone to getting the ultimate union of Ireland. And it's very interesting when the Government of Ireland Act 1920, which established the Northern Ireland, which is alien to the whole history of and tradition of Ireland, the concept of Ireland being divided like that. He did say very wisely, and a very wise man, he must have been a good king. He said, I divide Ireland a nation in 2. He understood by that very statement that Ireland was a nation. And the idea originally was that they would form 2 governments, one in Belfast, one in Dublin, and after 7 years they would come together. But that didn't happen. And then with the treaty negotiations, it was Dominion status. They came home saying that was the best we could get. There'd be a terrible war within 3 days if we didn't sign. And then that led to the split when it came back to the dial, the pro-treaty and the anti-treaty. So
and were they just, was that split on political grounds?
I would say it was emotional. I mean, they were the one party. They were the Sinn Féin party, and they got elected. They got 76 of the seats, of the 106 seats at the government at the time. They were MPs, and they had a poster. If you want a republic, vote for Sinn Féin. Well, what they put before the people in the treaty was not a republic. So De Valera and his colleagues say, well, look, this isn't the mandate we have from the people of Ireland is a republic we want, not a Dominion status 26 County Ireland. And so they lined up either side. And it was a very close vote.
And just again, and we'll talk about the actual war itself. So what is the political fallout from that? What political parties were formed in the years that followed based on, whether you were pro or anti-treaty?
Well, you're asking a very good question, but it's a very complicated one in the sense that even with the division, it was agreed then with the 1922 general election, Collins and De Valera behind the scenes had made an agreement that they would go get together after the election in a kind of coalition rather than split Sinn Féin. The pro and anti would go together. In fact, some of the constituencies weren't contested. They were, by either side, so that they would come together at the end. But when Lloyd George and Churchill found out in England that there was a secret deal, they put the pressure back on Collins to say, no, we can't have these Republicans, anti-treaty people in government. So that fell apart. And then De Valera realising over time, look, this wasn't going to work. And so then that was the formation of Fianna Fáil, 1926-27. And he started off what he called the Fianna Fáil, Fianna meaning warriors and Fáil of destiny, the old warriors of destiny. And then the pro-treaty party eventually, Clan Gael, but it eventually became known as we know today as Fine Gael. Fianna is family, so the family of the Gael. So the pro-treaty party really was Fine Gael. And then the anti-treaty party was Fianna Fáil. So two different sides. That's what morphed. But originally they were Sinn Féin. That was the original party.
So then where is Sinn Féin in this space here now? So we've got Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, pro-anti-treaty, both really born of Sinn Féin, you could say, at least of that time. So at what point then do we... And I know I'm jumping forward, but we can go backwards then. So what time was Sinn Féin established, and how did they differentiate themselves on their formation or on their establishment or whatever way you want to phrase it, separate from Fianna Fáil?
Well, look, it was 1904 and 1905 and into 1905 that Arthur Griffiths founded Sinn Féin. And Sinn Féin really weren't getting anywhere, this idea of or a republican or independent concept. With World War I, 80,000 Irishmen had gone out and fought with the English army in World War I. They were happy to have Dominion status. They were happy to have home rule. What Sinn Féin was talking about made no sense to the majority of the people of Ireland. That was the 1904 Sinn Féin. And then 1916 happens. And Sinn Féin are the party that then get blamed for the 1916 rising, even though technically there is no connection there. And it was the conscription crisis of 1917 that made Sinn Féin, because although it became law in Ireland, it was never enforced. And people began to realise, so they can send our sons under conscription to go out and fight in a war that's not ours. And Sinn Féin said, absolutely, because we are Dominion status, not a republic. And people said, no, we don't want Dominion status, we want a republic. And they said, well, that's what the men and women of 1916 were fighting for, where we would be sovereign and we would be in control of our own destinies. So really, Sinn Féin and De Valera and Arthur Griffin, Michael Collins emerged from 1916 as being the nationalist Republican Party. Jump forward, you have the split then, and you have Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael forming out of that. And then eventually you have, at a later stage, probably you could say in the 50s, and then later with really Bobby Sands, after Bobby Sands' hunger strike, he stood as an MP and got elected. And that was the beginning of, so to speak, the
modern era.
And the military side of the problems in the north and the troubles in the north becoming into a more central position of politics, and then the emergence then obviously of Gerry Adams and Martin McGuinness, and then that is the modern new Sinn Féin. So look, that's modern politics, and I have to be. I know,
exactly, it's just really quite interesting because we talk about Civil War type politics and where Sinn Féin or Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael's role in it all, and I think it's just fascinating for you to give us a brief overrun of what's going on there. Right.
Well, the question there is with regards Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. I think in one way, okay, they're in coalition, but I think in one way Fianna Fáil have sacrificed, and that's a question for them to figure out themselves, but they've sacrificed more insofar as, I mean, we're going to talk about this, but there was 77 exactly, but 81, sorry, four that robbed a bank that were executed as part of the formation of the Free State in the Civil War. And you know, how do you honour that tradition? And on the other side, there was men shot and killed that were in the Free State Army. And it was sad that really the formation of the new state, 5th of December, was 100 years ago, just gone by. And it wasn't really talked about or mentioned. And if we're going to move forward, we need to lay the past at peace. And ignoring it doesn't do that. Talk is good because it allows healing and it allows perspective. And it allows you then never to be able to cast up this stuff again, that we've dealt with it and now we're moving forward. And I think that we have yet to do that as a nation. And I think maybe the RT documentary was an attempt to get that conversation going. And here we're talking about it today. How do we honour both sides and let it be at peace and move forward as a nation? Or just do we ignore it that it never happened?
Yeah. A caller wants to know, why do you think so many people rejected the treaty when the church was in favour of it?
I don't know if the church was so much in favour of it as such. And the treaty is a lot more complicated than just 6 counties and 26 counties. There was questions over the oath. There was questions over the British holding on to, for example, Lough Swilly. There was a question over engagement in future wars. There was a lot more detail that hadn't been hammered out. And once the church realised that the majority had gone with, the majority of the people of Ireland had gone with it, it was a means to peace and it was a means to keeping a bit of stability. Unfortunately, then, as we know, it escalated into a terrible civil war. And really, it determined the future of Ireland for almost 100 years up until the present coalition. And it wasn't healthy for Ireland because we were seen as either voting for one side or another based on civil war politics, not on economics, not on social things. And maybe it held Ireland back until Sean Lemass came along, and then they said, look, we need to start opening up Ireland and being less insular in our view and less trying to define ourselves as being not British, that we're open to the world. And look at economically, was it last year or last month alone, I think it was 5 billion of taxes raised from foreign direct investment companies. And this is down to a policy of opening up our country economically. So, look, there's been legacy issues that need to be discussed as well.
So how was this? How was this war fought then? I mean, was it a war in the traditional sense? You know, were there, you know, opposing forces? So paint the picture of when we talk of the Irish Civil War, and there was quite a bit of bloodshed. A lot of it, people just being executed. So how was this fought and where, if you know what I mean?
Well, see, if you go back to 1916. And many men then were arrested and interned and sent to Wales and England. Among them Collins, and you had Joe Sweeney here in Donegal, different people like that. Thousands of men were sent to these internment camps. And basically they became universities for the revolution. And Collins decided when we get released, which they were 1917, 1918, we're going to go back and we're going to create hell for the British. And that led to the War of Independence 1919 to 1921 for those 3 years. So a lot of the combatants, the men that had been involved, and the women the man that had been involved in the War of Independence, had experience of war and had experience of what Collins used was guerrilla tactics whereby they would rush in, attack a barracks and leave and back into the civilian population, disappear, and then the English wouldn't know, or the British wouldn't know who attacked them or where did they come from. So when the Civil War broke out, our own Civil War, a lot of the experiences and methodologies that had been used during the War of Independence was carried into the Civil War. Ireland had guns because of the American or the Irish War of Independence, and therefore guns were in society. And to think that we created a police force, the Garda Síochána, an ungunned police force at that time when there were a terrible lot of guns in circulation. So you talk about the Civil War, what kind of war was it? Well, see, Collins didn't want to attack any of his fellow colleagues that he'd fought with. Now they were on the other side. But pressure was brought to bear by Churchill and Lloyd George, who was the Prime Minister of England, because they were afraid that Ireland would declare themselves as a republic and that they would renege on the treaty that they had signed. And the majority of the armed men of the War of Independence sided with the anti-treaty. About 70,000 of them sided with the anti-treaty. So the Free State actually were in the minority. The population might have been with the Free State, but the men that had the arms and the former IRA fighters in the War of Independence supported de Valera's side. And so it took a while for the Irish Army, Irish Free State Army, to recruit and to get men into their army and to train them and to upskill them. Some of them had been former servant in the British Army, had been trained. So they got an army together eventually. But the Munster Republic was basically where the heartland of the Civil War anti-treaty forces were, in particular Cork, Kerry, Limerick, that part of Ireland. And almost immediately they were rejecting the Free State's sovereign establishment of themselves. And they set up what they called the Republic of the Munster Republic. And they tried to raise revenue themselves, started up their own kind of government. And the Free State Army, Collins, and so were somewhat concerned. And so Lloyd George had said, look, we'll arm you. You need to go and sort these people out. And the first part of the Civil War really was when he had to attack the forecourts. There were about 200 anti-treaty men in the forecourts in Dublin. See, who took over the barracks? Was it anti-treaty, pro-treaty? And so Collins was ordered to attack them, which he didn't want to do, but he did. And unfortunately, in that attack on the forecourts in August 1922, that led to the beginning of the Civil War. And it was the British armaments that were supplied that were used to attack, so one Irish side attacking another Irish side. And unfortunately for us as historians and as people into, say, their family trees and census, they were all held in the forecourts, and almost 800 years of Irish documents were destroyed, burned. It was a horrific destruction of historical legacy in one way. But that was the beginning of the Civil War. And eventually, very soon, the Free State Army won the capital and had control of Dublin. And from that, then they moved out bit by bit. And it was a sharp 10-month campaign. But eventually, the anti-treaty forces couldn't sustain. They hadn't the armaments, they hadn't the men, they hadn't the resources. And eventually, they realised the game was up. And numerous leaders of the anti-treaty side were caught and were shot in ambushes and killed and so forth, and vice versa the other way as well. So it came to an end eventually, and the realization, de Valera realized that the Republic could not be achieved at this point in time.
Right. So the state itself executed 81 people, as you've made the distinction there between 4 bank robbers, 81 in total. Who historically stands over that decision? What political figure of the past would have that on their conscience?
That's a very hard question to ask me. You're making it difficult for me today, Greg. But look, put it in context. Between 1919 and 1921, the British Army in the War of Independence executed 24 people over 3 years. Our Free State government executed 81 in 6 months of our own Irishmen. It's a brutal legacy to have, and that was the beginning of the formation of our Free State. It was sanctioned by the government. It really was. What happened was Collins was no way for this. He didn't want to fight his fellow comrades. To think that Kevin O'Higgins signed the death warrant for his best man at his wedding. Rory O'Connor was his best man, and that Kevin O'Higgins signed his death warrant.
But they didn't have to do that. These people could have been incarcerated indefinitely.
the question was, it's a
like
lot
you
more
say, a choice was made, but a difficult choice to sign the death warrant of your best man. But you were part of a setup that chose to execute people rather than long-term incarceration. There's a step before you have to make those tough decisions. At least one step.
Well, again, I have to declare I would probably be on the Republican side traditionally in my family, and I would see these executions as immoral. But I have to be historical and stand back from
Understood that. I get that.
And say that one has to understand that Free State soldiers were being blown up, were being shot, were being killed. We'll talk again about it, but for example, in Creasta, Captain Cannon from Doohery, he was shot dead. He was in the army. It was working both ways. And okay, there was the idea up until Collins's time, until he was assassinated or ambushed. He didn't want to do anything, but once Collins was assassinated, things changed. And the Irish government at the time then decided, look, we have to take in emergency powers. So they took in these emergency powers, and to try to bring the Civil War to an end as quick as possible, they made it illegal for anybody to carry a weapon, an unauthorized weapon, and that it was death if you were caught carrying an unauthorized weapon. And in that way, they had hoped that it would bring the Civil War to an end. And so that was the idea behind that. It wasn't so much that they wanted to be killing people or shooting people. It was to use a brutal tool to bring the Civil War. And in fairness, it was a terrible decision to make, but it did achieve what it set out to do, because it did demoralise the Republicans, and it did, I think, aid the ending of the Civil War. Now, could they have been incarcerated? I think that would have been a better choice. But again, look, they were decisions they made in that time, sad decisions, I think, but they were decisions that they had to make.
Okay, can we take a very quick break if you've got another few minutes? And we want to talk about Erskine Childers. That's another fascinating element to this story, because he was a British-born person who... an Englishman who turned Irish Republican, and there's an interesting story in that, and we'll get that from Dr. Joe Kelly after these messages.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Gift sets by celebrity, by budget, or from the classic collection at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For the perfect present every time. Visit mcgees.ie, sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
Did you hear that? Wine and champagne is 20% off. And that? Medium selection boxes like Skittles and Cadbury, mix and match any 3 for €5. 20 and 24 can boxes of Coke, Diet Coke and Coke Zero are just €12. Have you got any 10 off 50s? And that's the sound of better value. Every week leading up to Christmas, there's new savings to be had. Dunn Stores. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply. Vouching abused on ex-grocery shop of €50 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas, with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126276.
Shop for toys from all the leading brands this Christmas at Foy's in Ballybuffet. Great value on all the latest toys, ride-ons, bikes and Bear go-karts. New deliveries arriving every week. Great offers on best-selling brands like Lego, Brooder and Schleck. From Cocomelon to Gabby's Dollhouse, you'll find great gifts for everyone on your list with a visit to Toys at Foy's Ballybuffet. Pay in 3 easy instalments with Klarna and shop local this Christmas with nationwide delivery at toysatfoys.com.
Free 2023 glossy farming calendar. It's one of the farming favourites of the year. Don't miss your free IFA calendar inside today's Irish Farmers Journal.
16,000 farmers could be locked out of acres. Find out what your chances are of getting in. Nitrates rules to force farmers to hunt for 70,000 acres of extra land. Plus, all you need to know on grant aid for farm solar panels.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal with your free IFA calendar. You cannot afford to miss it.
Century Complex gift cards are the perfect gift this Christmas. Our gift cards can be used throughout the complex in Backstage Bar and Grill, Century Cinemas and Century Play. Available in-store at Century Complex. Call us on 074 912 1976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information.
It's the final week for Aldi's amazing Secret 6 buy one get one free Christmas offers. This Thursday's 2 for 1 is a Cadbury Favourites large selection box, just $8.99. With all that choice, you won't know what to eat first. You pay for one selection box and get two. Means you'll have no trouble selecting Aldi this week. Aldi. Make Christmas amazing for everyone. Hurry while stocks last. Terms apply. See aldi.ie for details.
For all your home heating needs, oil, gas and solid fuels. National Fuels, Pierce Road, Letterkenny. 9137 400. National Fuels, bringing you the time at...
Okie doke, the time is 28 minutes past 11 and we're still in the company of Dr. Joe Kelly, and we're going to talk about a fascinating character, not really just his being an Englishman who turned Irish Republican, but Robert Erskine Childers was just an interesting man all round. Talk to us about him, Joe.
A very interesting man. As you said, he kind of did an arc of conversion from being an Englishman born in England in 1870 to being executed for being on the anti-treaty side.
Is it true he shook hands with those who executed him?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And he told the night before he was executed, he wasn't allowed to see his wife. We'll talk about that, Molly Goodwood. He wasn't allowed to see her before he was executed. Again, it says a lot about how the Free State handled executions. Maybe at the end we'll talk about that. But his son did come in, Erskine Childers did come in to see him, and he told his son to go and find every one of the men that executed him and shake their hands. And he did that. And he became the fourth president of Ireland. Now, he wasn't president very long, it was only for a number of months, but his son became the president of Ireland, Erskine Childers, 1973 to 74. Yeah, he died in office. So
okay.
Interesting that the Free State that established the presidency were the ones responsible for the execution of his father, yet the nation of Ireland, the 26 counties, voted for his son, the man that was executed by the Free State son, to be the president, the first citizen of Ireland. It's just ironic to see going from one side to the other.
I wonder, is that an evolution or just a lack of interest in history that would lead to such an event?
Oh, I think they understood what they were doing when they were voting for him. And it was like, what was really surprising was like De Valera, who went against the treaty and the Civil War. Often they put that responsibility at his door. That in 1932, 10 years later, they actually are elected into government. That Fianna Fáil, the anti-treaty party, are the ones that become the government in 1932, 10 years later. So it's interesting just the way the Irish people move from one to the other. And here we're now back in the centre.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we might have, just because of time, because I kept asking questions, we might pick up Childers as he, obviously very sympathetic to the Irish Republican cause and joins forces.
Yes, he was. Look, he was born in England. His father was the private secretary to the would have been the head diplomat in Sri Lanka. Ceylon was the name at the time. And so he was brought up in very aristocratic British establishment home in London. But both his parents died when he was young, and they were taken back to their mother. She was a Barton from Wicklow, neighbours of Parnell, taken back to Ireland and reared there himself and his other four siblings, and grew up there. Then went back to England, to Cambridge, then went working in the civil service in the House of Commons, and worked there, and joined actually the Boer War. The Boer War was when the South Africans wanted to get rid of the colonialists, and England in particular didn't succeed, but he was very disillusioned with the way that was handled. That had a big effect on him, and he wasn't too happy with the English and the way they handled that war. And then he wrote a famous book, Riddle of the Sands. It was probably... It's still a very, very famous book. It was the first really spy novel genre, and it was like pre-James Bond kind of idea. And it was about a sailing, a man, Carruthers, who sails up into the Baltics in the north, that area, and about Germany getting ready for war. So that was pre-World War I, and he was quite correct, and the book became very, very famous. But in that book, he becomes eventually himself his own character in real life, which is surprising, because later on it's his boat that's used to import the guns for 1916. He marries a American lady, Molly Osgood, in 1904, fell madly in love with her. As a present, her father was a well-to-do person, bought them a boat, a special purpose-built boat for them, because Molly had to use walking aids to walk. She'd been disabled, and the boat was specially built for her, and a harness so she could steer the boat. And so when the arms were wanting to be imported for the 1916 Irish Volunteers, really the 1914, see, the Larne gun running had happened just previous to that in Northern Ireland, when the UVF had taken in their guns. And Pearse had said there is nothing more ridiculous than a unionist with a gun than a nationalist without a gun. So they decided to import guns, and Darrell Figgis and Roger Casement were appointed to go and locate guns. And they did in Germany. They located a company that would supply them with guns. So how are they going to get them to Ireland? And who had the sailing but Eskin Childers? So it was his boat, the Asgard, that was used to bring in the guns in 1914 into Howth. And Molly went with him. And he had two men from Donegal with him, Patrick McGinley and Charles Dugan. They skippered in the boat on the 20th July 1914 into Howth. And those guns were subsequently used for the 1916 Rising. And like Churchill had said this subsequently, the greatest assembly of naval power ever witnessed in the history of the world. He sailed through that because this was just, war was bound to happen. And yet he negotiated with his boat, and maybe people didn't suspect him because of who he was. But funnily then, when World War I broke out, the Irish Volunteers were contacted by the British authorities to ask for Childers to be sent to England, and he served on the Navy and helped in World War I. But when World War I was over, his loyalty lay with Ireland, and Molly Osgood, his wife, certainly influenced him, because she was a descendant of John Quincy Adams, the sixth president of America, and he was big into the idea of government by republic, the idea of people having a say in their government, absolutely. And she seemed to have influenced him, and he wrote an article, The Framework for Home Rule, in 1911. So by that stage, he'd been won over to Irish home rule, at least. And then after 1916, he moved towards the Irish republicanism. So that's where he was at. And they lived in London until 1919. Then he came back to Ireland, and he served as a TD for Wicklow. And he was appointed to go as secretary to the delegation, Collins and Griffiths and others, to London to negotiate. And the English were pretty annoyed, because here was one of their own, and he was he was rigid and strict. They didn't like him. Churchill particularly had no time for him, and neither had Lloyd George, but he knew their tricks, because he was one of them. And funnily, his cousin Barton was also on that delegation, again coming from landed gentry, but had come over to the Republican side as well.
So what led to his execution then? Right,
well, what happened was, I mentioned earlier, when Collins was executed, ambushed in August the 22nd, 1922, a public safety resolution on the 28th of September, 6 days later, was put into law by the Irish Free State, which stated that anybody carrying a gun was, they could be charged for breaking the law and be executed for it. So it was a way of trying to bring the Civil War to an end. And Childers was working for the anti-treaty side. He was a propagandist, a very wise, bright, articulate man, and he was publishing newspapers, articles about the Republic. And he probably was considered one of the head men on the anti-treaty side, profile-wise. And he had come from Kerry, supposedly going to Dublin to see De Valera, and he stayed in his family home in the Bartons in Wicklow. And the Irish Army, Free State Army, it's rather pathetic what happened. They went in at 5 o'clock in the morning while he was in bed, and he had a gun that Michael Collins had given to him, a small revolver. And so he was taken then to Dublin and tried and found guilty of being in possession of a gun. And so they decided that they would execute him. There was no real trial. It wasn't as if he was going to shoot somebody with the gun at 5 o'clock in the morning in his own house. But they didn't want to hear. The death sentence was issued, and he was taken out to be executed. And as we mentioned earlier, he met his son. He was allowed to see his son, wasn't allowed to see his wife. And he did say to the men, he shook the hands of all the men who were going to execute him. And he actually told them, he says, look, take a step forward, lads. It'll be a wee bit easier.
Wow.
But they executed him on the 24th of November, 1922 in Beggars Bush Barracks. And it was just really a sad affair, in the sense that this man had done so much to won Irish freedom. The fact that he was British aristocratic, reared in London, had turned 100% round to our nation. And as I said before to you, could we imagine if Pearse or Casement or Michael Collins or Eskilchiller, the bloodhood and manhood of Ireland had survived, what kind of Ireland would we have had in the fledgling state? We were robbed of many of our potentially...
And robbed ourselves as well, to some extent.
Yeah.
In certain cases. You talked then about his son going on to be a future president. Nessa Childers is his granddaughter, isn't she? She spent an independent politician, MEP too, I think till 2019 or in and around then. Right, okay, listen, as always, there's just so much we could get into. The 100th anniversary of the Drumbo martyrs, their execution is in March 2023, so maybe we might actually dedicate a slot directly to that, if that's all right with you, Joe.
No problems. That's a very difficult one because it brings it all back home here.
Yeah, for sure.
Today it's a very live thing politically. But again, it was the only executions in Donegal, and we can do that. The anniversary coming up in March, 14th of March. Incidentally, I have one of the guns of the Drumbo martyrs.
Wow.
But I'll tell you that story maybe.
Yeah, indeed. No spoilers. Okay, yeah, because it is, as you say, it's still raw, it's still there, it's still marked, and it's very local. But it's going to be fascinating again. Dr. Joe Kelly, as always, thank you so very much indeed. All right, that was Talking History with Dr. Joe Kelly, an occasional series here on the 9 till Noon show. And there are also podcasts of our chats available. And one in particular which might be of interest to you, and that is a podcast that me and Joe did on Creasler, the history of Creasler. It's rich history. Fascinating stuff. It really is. And we talked about Loch Salt earlier on today, just how that was established and who established and why it was established. It's just a really interesting one. So if you go on YouTube and search Creasler Talking History, or indeed I think it's on our website as well, you will enjoy that one. I'm sure as many of you did actually. We had a really positive feedback to that.
The 9 till Noon show, sponsored by McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. See all the magic of Christmas with McGee's online photo lab. Open 24/7. Delivered to your door or collect in store.
Free 2023 glossy farming calendar. It's one of the farming favourites of the year. Don't miss your free IFA calendar inside today's Irish Farmers Journal.
16,000 farmers could be locked out of acres. Find out what your chances are of getting in. Nitrates rules to force farmers to hunt for 70,000 acres of extra land. Plus, all you need to know on grant aid for farm solar panels.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal with your free IFA calendar. You cannot afford to miss it.
At Spar Glencar, we're all set for Christmas. From selection boxes to tubs of sweets and hampers for all ages, gift sets for the family and much, much more. It's all under one roof at Spar Glencar. We accept Shop LK gift cards across the complex.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank. Mike Denver in concert with guests Brendan Shine and Philomena Begley at the Mount Erical Hotel, Letterkenny on January 6th and Millennium Forum Derry on March 18th. Tickets now on sale at both venues and ticketmaster.ie. That's Mike Denver with Philomena Begley and Brendan Shine in Letterkenny and Derry. The perfect Christmas gift.
Welcome to cozy season, melty chocolate log season, luxury biscuits dunked in hot cocoa season. It's extra dollop of cream season, impromptu party season, the season of giving and treating yourself too. Have yourself a merry little moment this season with our Inspired by Central range. Go on, It's Christmas.
Ireland's biggest ever tribute weekend is coming back to Donegal. Trib Bash 2023 is taking place at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny on the 10th and 11th of February. The nation's very best tribute acts take to the stage with the fantastic award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show Cash Returns, the sellout show Mac Fleetwood as Fleetwood Mac, the smash hit ABBA tribute with Bjorn Identity, and the show-stopping Queen tribute. Limited tickets available now at the hotel reception and online at eventbrite.ie. Trib Bash 2023 at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. Your ideal Christmas present.
At Centra this week, choose from our amazing mega deals, like Centra Fresh Hour smoked and unsmoked ham fillets 1.8 to 2 kilo, €10 each. Lindt Lindor chocolates 200 grams selected range, any 2 for €11. And Villa Maria Sauvignon Blanc now €9. Celebrate Christmas, choose Centra. Centra, live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
At Joe McGee Butchers, we have all your needs to make this Christmas dinner extra special. So, if it's a fresh whole turkey, a turkey breast fillet in a vac-pack cooking bag with a cooking pop-up timer, a ham joint or a succulent dry-aged sirloin steak, then call in to Joe McGee Butchers at Glencar Shopping Centre and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, where we have Christmas all wrapped up for you.
The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mizell and Patrick Feeney are back on tour with a brand new live show full of music, song and side-splitting laughter. See The Three Amigos live. Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, Tuesday, January 3rd. Tickets priced €35 at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where additional fees may apply. A ticket for The Three Amigos live in concert is the ideal Christmas gift.
Happy Christmas from the Three Amigos!
Aaron Moher, the Leanry Gosh Aaron and Givra Show. Tiggin to Imni and Fubble fi Chursi Frinyev. Tush Kamin and Imni Chena Urine. Gach Givra agus Arina Blina Fad. Nabi Burha. Shuhut the Han Oliha Gosh. Frinyev na Heron a Hamad sa Shul agus Tussa Aaron Olas.
Ian Tuck, Guramagat as Taco Topishin.
Vulture Road. Kunas Fedlam Kerelat. Hunson Choila Oil. Take gasnetworks.ie/experts.
Morning Auctioneers are holding a machinery and plant auction this Saturday at their yard in Dromahole, Manor Cunningham, just beside Biddy Friel's Bar. Intake on Friday from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. Auction starts at 11 a.m. sharp on Saturday. Large entry expected. See Tony Morning on Facebook for items. And for inquiries, call 083 097 8564.
And now the Highland Forecast, brought to you by Shop LK. Widespread Christmas shopping this December in Letterkenny. See shoplk.ie or like us on Facebook.
Okay, very cold, sunny, mainly dry today with just a few wintry showers in the northwest. Temperatures may remain below freezing in some parts. Temperatures highs of 1 to 3 degrees. Mostly dry with clear spells tonight. Pockets of freezing fog will develop. Those temperatures again widely, reaching -1 to -5 degrees locally. The further south in the region you are, the colder it will be. Okay, let us sort this out.
So, Max, whatever you're doing for your birthday, enjoy it. Hope you get loads of cards, loads of presents, loads of...
All right, let's see if we can get a winner. Alison Gibson's in Milford. Good morning, Alison.
Hello, Greg.
How are you keeping today?
Good.
That is good to hear. Right, what do you believe the missing word is, Alison?
Fun.
No, I don't have a like Lee Gooch has, but I'm afraid it's wrong, Alison. But there is some fun to be had because you'll be able to enjoy your favourite hot beverage or cold beverage from a limited edition 9 till noon show mug. A bit of a booby prize, but it's a prize nonetheless. Thank you so much for entering.
That's all I wanted anyway.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. You might
Christmas complete.
I think you've just made a promo. Listen, Alison, thank you very much indeed. And thanks for listening, by the way. I really appreciate it.
Happy Christmas.
And
Bye-bye.
happy Christmas to you and yours. Right, let's see if we have a winner on line 2. Michael Gallagher from Newmills. Hiya, Michael.
How's it going there, Greg? How are you getting on?
It's going good, actually. What do you think the answer is?
That answer was switch, say.
You sound very confident.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm kind of good at them things times, you know what I mean?
Well, let's see how good you are. Don't be too cocky. You could be wrong. Let's have a listen.
So, Max, whatever you're doing for your birthday, enjoy it. Hope you get loads of cards, loads of presents, loads of sweets.
Oh, you're good. You are good at these things, Michael. Well done to you.
Wouldn't be too... Aye. Thank you. Hey, Greg. Thanks very much.
No bother. Now, you have got a ticket for the €30,000 car draw, the draw for which takes place Friday week. So you're in that as a thank you for taking part. And we've got that €100 voucher up for grabs tomorrow. You're one of 4 that could win that €100 voucher to the Inishowen Gateway Hotel. And it's just as a wee thank you for being a listener, Michael. Have a lovely Christmas and fingers crossed for you tomorrow.
Thanks very much, Craig, and happy Christmas to yourself and good luck now, all right?
All right, and Michael, thank you so very much for listening. It's really, really appreciated. Okay, apologies from switching from one thing for a bit of fun, but something that's very, very serious, but it's just been handed to me. The soldier killed in the Lebanon has been named as 23-year-old Private Sean Rooney, who's a native of Newtown, Conningham, here in County Donegal. Sean had joined the Defence Forces in March 2019 and his home unit was the 27th Infantry Battalion in Dundalk. So that's unfortunately sad news that the young man, just 23 years of age, who was killed in Lebanon shortly after 9 o'clock yesterday evening, was Newtown, Conningham native Private Sean Rooney. So our thoughts are with Sean's family, friends, and his comrades as well, of course. Very sad news. We have no details on the others that are injured. One is particularly quite seriously injured there, of course. But we'll have more reaction to that a little later on, if not on this programme, certainly throughout the day here on Highland Radio. Right, okay. Let us move on here now. And just 71 fines for motorists overtaking cyclists dangerously or attempting to do so have been issued since the law was introduced more than 3 years ago. It's a very poor return, isn't it? 23-odd tickets per year. Brian McElhenney, chair of the Finn Wheeler Cycling Club, joins us now to discuss this. Brian, I'm sure you've been... In the last 3 years yourself have had dodgy overtaking more than 71 times. Not a great return really on that law for cyclists in particular, I suppose.
Good morning, Greg. No, it's a very low number. We've 60 members in our club. At least each one of us have had dangerous overtaking experiences. So the number is quite low. That in terms of fines, it's a difficult one to police. And when we read the Irish Times article, it mentions that some of the Gardaí were unaware of the legislation that they can, charge on. So there needs to be an awareness that that's there, and that cyclists need to feel that there's something there to protect them if there's an incident.
I didn't see the article yet, but my guess is that a lot of these may have been in urban areas and may have happened right in front of a Garda who happened to be familiar with the laws. Do we know that information? I can't imagine... much of this is happening off the back of a report of some person, cycling out the Donegal Road.
No, the article doesn't get into that detail, but how do you give evidence? Who was the car overtaking you? So, it's going to be a hard one to police. So now the amount of people having cameras on their bikes, to capture that evidence, it's getting more and more. And we as a club have even talked about that. That maybe we'd have 2 cameras per group so that, if something like that happens, at least we've some evidence to come to the Gardaí with. So, I suppose the main thing is to get the message across, please respect cyclists and respect all road users, be it a pedestrian, a cyclist, any road user. We need to respect each other, and as cyclists, that's all we ask.
Yeah, and the punishment is really, it's quite severe, particularly the penalty points element of it. If you are caught endangering or causing inconvenience to a cyclist while overtaking or attempting to overtake them, you can face that fine, as I mentioned, of €120 and those 3 penalty points. I mean, maybe that's not serious enough, but whichever way we look at it, you would hope that all Gardaí would familiarise themselves with this law, because how else can it be enforced?
Well, that's number one. Like the sad statistics. So the sad statistics this year so far is 152 people are dead on the roads. 7 of those are cyclists. That's 152 empty chairs this Christmas around in the table dinners. We need obviously the Gardaí need to be up to speed on the law, but we need all road users just to, be aware, give space, take your time. An extra few minutes is not worth the risk you're putting lives to. So
for sure, and those numbers, those people, of course, but it doesn't account for. It doesn't account for near misses. It doesn't account for people with very serious injuries, which happens all the time, but we don't get statistics on that. But they would be great in number two. They're going to have a very different Christmas. And also, too, who wants to be the driver spending Christmas, just to continue that metaphor, having done something that could be avoided that cost someone else their life or inflicted very serious injury in them. Do you know what I mean? So it goes far beyond the very tragic loss of those 152 lives. The ripples travel very far.
Exactly. Like members of our club are carrying injuries or have been involved in incidents, and they're still suffering that. So injuries are not counted in these statistics, and we just need to be careful on the road. Like, I'm a driver as well, so when I meet a cyclist, I'm taking that extra width to go by, and but we need more enforcement. We need that come the new year that the law is enforced in that regard.
Yeah, it'd be good to see the Garda, the Century, send out a memo to members, because obviously there's an information gap there.
Yes, of course. Well, the article mentions that, so and it's obviously something that the Gardaí need to work on, and if there are incidents that they need to be reported, and obviously the more evidence the better. There's enough dash cams on the road now that people can be the evidence can be presented.
Okay. Would there be many summonses given to cyclists over the years? We're going to sort of find ourselves getting into this to and fro, which I'm trying to avoid. I know you don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer.
I'm a bus driver. There was a cyclist in the middle of a foggy road instead of being in on the hard shoulder. It's so dangerous. These are just general comments. I'm not sure they take away from the important point we're making. What do you feel about cyclists using the main road when we have spent thousands on cycling lanes? Surely they should too be fined. Well, they can't be fined because they're not doing anything wrong, and that is the old chestnut. And I think it might have been in a conversation where has been stated that on certain bikes, dependent on your cycling activity, these cycle lanes aren't really suitable. A cyclist will prefer the main pavement.
Well, exactly. Some of the lanes that are provided are they're more footpaths than actual suitable for cycling. But they'd be more suitable for families, say kids, etc. But Donegal's got a very low provision of cycle lanes, of greenways. Like, we're way behind in that regard. There's millions being granted to the county. Half the money was sent back from 2021 that it wasn't spent on walking and cycling infrastructure. So that's another conversation really that needs to be worked on.
A lot of messages coming in, and they're not wishing you a happy Christmas. I feel bad because we invited you on. I didn't invite you on here just to throw rotten tomatoes at you. How come there are no fines
every time?
Yeah, but I'm trying to avoid that, because I don't think we get anywhere with that. It's the same when we have the conversation about the fallout from the rally or something, just blaming groups of individuals. Well, I just don't see, it doesn't progress us any farther, because what it does is it has a group on one side and another group in the other, and yet in a mix of all of this, we very unfortunately are burying people because we don't respect each other on the roads, because it's a shared space, and that's what's important to me, that we can try and limit that as much as is possible.
At the end of the day, Greg, we're all road users. We all need to respect each other. Like, it's any cyclist could be your uncle, your father, your mother, a cousin. We just need to put that personal perspective on who that cyclist is. And, our members, there's bus drivers, there's lorry drivers, we're all motorists,
you walk among us.
we're just, it's our sort of leisure occupation is to cycle. Other people run, other people walk, swim, etc. So let's be careful.
Stay safe. We all have to respect each other. Thank you so very much for your time and accepting our invitation, Brian. Thank you. Take care. That is Brian McElhenney he's the chair of the Finn Wheelers Cycling Club. Right. Congratulations to you, Primrose Rankin. What a beautiful name, Primrose. You're listening to us in Trento. You correctly answered the Germany is traditionally credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition. You've won a bottle of Paco Rabanne 1 million EDT spray for men. Well done to you, but you're also in the draw for that hamper tomorrow. It's worth over €500 thanks to our friends at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. Have a lovely day. Stay tuned. John Breslin's coming up around the Northwest next, and we're back with you as always tomorrow morning, God willing, from 9.
Customise your Christmas cards or create a photo book using photos from your smartphone or Facebook at mcgees.ie or in store on Main Street, Letterkenny. Sponsored